UDA's presidential flag bearer, Tharaka Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki, hinted that the party has invited guests including Kenya leader Martha Karua as well as leaders of affiliate parties within the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, Ford Kenya, Amani National Congress and other surprise guests. The Deputy President's endorsement will mark his decamping from the Jubilee Party to the newly formed UDA party in the 2022 general elections. Other issues the delegates' convention is aimed to look into will include a review and approval of party's policies as well as considering and approving any other party matters that will include the political signings in the newly formed Kenya Kwanza Alliance, which brings together the Amani National Congress and the Ford Kenya Party. Meanwhile, Martha Karua has stated that she will not be attending the UDA NDC. Karua, in a tweet, stated that she will not be attending the NDC this coming days after she snubbed the signing of the agreement to work with Azimio la Umoja through the One Kenya Alliance that she is part of. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka revealed that there were issues with the document being signed that led to the unavailability of Martha Karua and Cyrus Jirongo from the event, but that they are working to streamlining things in the coming days.
Quite frankly, my Secretary General did not sign the second document because it was specific about Azimio. We were not Azimio. So what was passed there, Raila Odinga was given a ticket as presidential candidate of Azimio at KICC. But when we went to Jacaranda, I clarified that now, on behalf of Okoh, and I believe my friends would agree with me, I still would want to have a meeting because it's only Gideon who showed up. I was talking to Cyrus Jirongo, he was caught up in the traffic. The whole thing was confusing because they were there to announce Raila as a flag bearer or presidential candidate of Azimio la Umoja. Now, that thing has shifted to Azimio One Kenya.
We look forward to how things will pan in the coming days. Now, you will have to dig deeper into your pocket to be able to afford petroleum products. This after fuel prices went up by 5 shillings and more is likely to push up the country's cost of living. The new adjustment was announced in a monthly review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority (EPRA). Under the new prices, super petrol and diesel will retail at 134 shillings and 72 cents and 115 shillings and 60 cents per litre respectively. Kerosene will remain unchanged at 103 shillings and 54 cents. It is the first increase since November 2021 in what sources said is linked to the crisis between Ukraine and Russia. The average landed cost of imported super petrol increased by 13.34% from $596.79 per cubic meter in January 2022 to $676.40 per cubic meter in February 2022. Diesel increased by 11.74% from $606.16 per cubic meter to $677.31 per cubic meter. The landing cost of kerosene also increased by 15.94% from $534.38 to $619.57 per cubic meter. According to EPRA, the government will utilize the Petroleum Development Levy to cushion consumers from otherwise high prices. Now, the government has given some 7,213 non-governmental organizations operating in the country that are yet to file their annual returns with the NGO Coordination Board 90 days to be compliant or risk deregistration. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, who officially launched the NGO Sector 2020-2021 report, said the 9,525 active NGOs are important partners in the Big Four agenda, civic awareness and peace building. Matiang'i urged the NGO Board to allow the non-compliant members a 3-month grace period to comply with existing regulations. He added that the new report suggests that there might be over 2,000 briefcase NGOs in the country or those registered by individuals, pointing out that compliance will play a critical role towards providing critical and accurate data in planning. Matiang'i pointed out that there exists a provision which gives the NGOs an opportunity to request for more time to comply in case they are experiencing challenges on the issue. And finally, the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination KCSE enters its second day today amid numerous cases of examination malpractice in at least 6 centers across the country. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM. Nyeri.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person. Hustler is a person who is making his a living through hard work.
The group of leaders we are having now, Kenyans, listen, the chemical composition is the same. You will mold them to ODM, then NASA, you mold them to Kano, mold them to Jubilee, mold them to any other different color sometimes, but the chemical composition is the same.
It's not about me as Nurdin Haji, but it's about the constitution that I swore to protect. So when individuals attempt to hoard those powers and they want to be investigators and also prosecutors, then of course I have to defend that position because that position is in the constitution and that's what Kenyans wanted.
I'll tell you what happens is that when you ignore court orders, you're creating and quoting anarchy. Then you create a very dangerous precedent.
A story is told of the first president of the country who also went to visit Madare, presidential tour. And of course, he went to this place and he introduced himself. So one of the investors says, kuna jina kama yangu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Second day of the week, and what does it look like on these Nairobi streets? A little bit of traffic on the Thika Superhighway, and that has started quite early. It's nothing crazy though, just the rumblings of early morning traffic, and we'll have to take a look-see. After the Pangani underpass, going into the city, it's actually free and clear. It's not too bad at all. We have some traffic coming off of Juja Road, but it looks all right. Let's look on the other side of the city at the Eastern Bypass. We're going to see a build-up there as usual, but again, it's just beginning, so we won't see anything crazy, at least not for now. All right, 6:30 about, so we're probably going to see this is where traffic starts to build up. We'll be right here to take all that information from you, let folks know where they can or cannot go. But Tuesday started off right, let's keep it that way. And then let's talk SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
9 minutes after 6 o'clock. It's the 15th day of March 2022. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Hello, Ndu.
Hello, Eric. Hello. It's me.
How many songs are you combining in this?
Is it me you're looking for?
Hiyo nyimbo silikuwa ishaimbwa
Nani?
Lionel.
But there are two different ones. Lionel, your pal.
Lionel.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Good morning.
Which different ones? Two different ones?
Songs.
Which one and which one?
Adele's Hello and Lionel's Hello. Adele. She's a Brit artist. She sang the song Hello.
Hello from the other side.
City, what's wrong with you?
See, I'm speaking. What a whisper isn't a whisper if you can actually hear what I'm saying. If it's audible, then why am I whispering?
If you're close enough, you can't hear a whisper. You're not close enough, CT. To me. Ouch.
CT?
Eric, good morning.
I see you are well.
Clearly, he's doing really well. My goodness.
Yeah?
Bwana Muga.
Baba.
How's it going?
The going is actually quite good. It is one of those good, better, best sort of like situations.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just go with the Biden's line. Yeah.
How are you, Eric?
I'm fine.
You're
Thank
fine?
you. Yes. Yes.
I have a question.
Ask.
Sorry, please, before you go to Biden and your things.
Yes.
What does Bila Shaka mean?
Bila is without.
I got that.
Shaka, Shida.
Bila Shaka.
Or
So it's like
doubt.
saying no problem.
Ce n'est pas problème.
Il n'y a pas de problème.
That inya.
Okay.
Yes. Problem is still problem, but it's the inya variety of problem.
Il n'y a pas de problème.
See, you've even added the do to it now.
So there's no problem. That's what Bila Shaka means.
More like without a doubt.
Ah, okay. Shaka
Yeah.
is doubt. Got it. All right. You learn something new every day. Thank you very
Ain't
much.
no doubt about it.
That's even
Kabisa.
so. Carry on.
Yeah.
Biden.
Russia is to blame. Putin is to blame.
Could come here.
Mafuta has gone up by 5 shillings.
What?
Putin is to blame.
So Putin also has EPRA,
Everything.
okay?
Yeah.
And his PS is also called Kamau.
Yeah. Yes.
My goodness.
And they're to blame for all
And
this.
his CS is also called who? Macharia. Okay.
City.
Yes.
Your eggs are not all there.
Welcome to the Situation Room. Today we have several conversations. Number one, let's reflect the conversation around businesses. Okay, so we saw what was happening with the crackdown on motorbikes. Many border operators, many people in the transport industry using the two-wheelers were complaining that, there was indiscriminate harassment of borders. Then there are people who also talk about daily levels of harassment, and these are bar owners and restaurateurs, and they talk about constantly being harassed by police officers who come in and they say, "Let a kitu or we shall find something wrong with you." One of them is a lady called Mercy Atis, who operates a pub in Kitengela, and she basically has gotten to the end of the road, and she says, "You know what? Enough is enough. Come on. Every day. And there's a quarter for, the police boss. There's a quarter for the ordinary police officer. There's a quarter for police officers on motorcycle. A quarter for police officers driving a vehicle.
What are you left with?
Nothing. So she'll be here with us at 7 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, alongside Boniface Gashoka, who's the Secretary General of the Bar Owners Association. We'll be talking about the bar owners and their relationship with the police. At 7, let's talk about civil society participation in the Financial Action Task Force process in Kenya. We'll be joined by Program Coordinator at Transparency International Kenya, Philip Mutio. These and more coming up in Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome. COVID.
Let's look at what's happening with COVID-19. President Barack Obama tested positive for COVID-19 Sunday and says he's feeling fine other than a scratchy throat. So it's interesting that even as the numbers decline, you have a lot more people who are still testing positive for the disease. He says he was grateful that he'd been vaccinated and boosted. So he had been vaccinated fully. He had received his booster shots, 2 of them. His wife has tested negative. You're wondering who his wife is? His wife is Michelle Obama. They had returned to Washington, D.C. after spending the winter in Hawaii and tested positive in D.C. He said it's a good reminder that even as cases go down, we should get vaccinated and boosted if you haven't already to help prevent other serious symptoms and giving COVID to others. So this is it, that folks are saying that had he not been vaccinated and boosted, the severity of his infection probably would have been higher.
Come on, Obama. Surely.
No, not him. Experts saying.
No, okay, even experts. Even for him, even in his tweet, he was insinuating that. He was insinuating that it's because I got vaccinated and boosted.
That's why I just feel a scratchy throat.
That's why, yes. The percentage of infections of COVID-19 and the percentage of
Adverse effects?
not adverse effects of
Not adverse effects?
asymptomatic cases. If you compare asymptomatic cases to symptomatic cases,
Asymptomatic
from the very beginning, asymptomatic has always been a majority.
Not majority, vast.
Majority. So this one of saying it's because I got vaccinated and I got boosted, it's a gentle reminder. And do you what? I don't see the connection.
You don't like it?
I'm not. I'm just saying.
What do you like about it?
I am not seeing the
I didn't
connection.
say I like anything. I'm just reporting the story as they said. Why are we angry?
It's not anger. It's not anger.
Let me tell you what's happening in Kenya. Because Eric is already looking at me. The time is going. 12 new cases in the country. 0.4 positivity rate. Unfortunately, one recorded death. It's been the first death that we've seen recorded this month. So again, positivity rate dropping slightly higher than it was yesterday. And we're looking at global numbers of now 460 million. We've still seeing that decline. However, cases still continue to rise. The US, again, folks, almost at 1 million deaths from COVID, 991,000, and 81 million cases of COVID. Their cases having risen significantly over the last 6 months. We've then begun to see a decline in the US cases over the last 2 months. But still, they're saying these numbers are still pretty high. Mask mandates, in some cases, is still the case. Governors are taking the bull by the horns and saying, within the territory or the boundaries of our states, these are things that we're going to insist upon. Federal buildings, then maybe we will still have this conversation. But in terms of state government, we're releasing some of these things. Let folks get back to life.
But if you look at those statistics, if you compare the population size and the number of deaths in America, it's still far lower as a percentage from other countries.
It's
For
just
example,
under 2%.
America, 2,965 deaths per 1 million population. Compare that to Spain, which was how many deaths per million population? 2,106 or 2,600 in Italy. And the population in Italy is 60,000 people. The population
60 million.
60 million people. Population of Spain is 40 million people. Population of America, 334 million people.
Well, of course, it hit harder in some of these countries. So when you're comparing the numbers with a lower population in Spain and Italy, for example, and you do that analysis, then obviously the death toll was much higher in Spain and Italy. And that's for sure. Remember, in the first days of COVID, what was happening in Italy? People were lying on the side of the street looking for space. People were not able to get into hospital, dying on the side of the road.
The very things that they predicted for this continent is what we saw happening.
Yeah.
But the thing that worries me, though, even with these low percentiles, is the possibility of another surge. That's what worries me. And I don't read or hear or see the world of science talking about this. There is
worrisome silence.
Well, I'm concerned because what have we been told? Have we been told that this particular problem is done, dusted, over?
No, we haven't. We've been told that there's a decline.
Yes, that is a safe position to take because you're stating the obvious. There is clearly a decline. And then after the decline, then what?
Indeed.
Remember, alongside the decline, there's the discussion of mutation. So are we saying now that we are saying unmask, walk freely? What then are we saying? Are we saying that we have opened the doors for people to get even more infected, and with the infections, we are saying people are already protected, so the infections won't have much of an effect? Yes, but if you consult the virus, you think the virus is going to play ball, or is the virus going to mutate? And before we know it, it's going to appear with other relatives that we hadn't considered before, just like with Omicron. My concern, just a mention.
Indeed.
It's a good one. 20 after 6, time for us to take that quick break. Take a look at the weather.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Dare for fast relief from pounding, throbbing headache? Take Cipladon. The fizz works to relieve pain.
Clear conditions in Nairobi, still dark. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 17 today. Mostly clear at 15 in Nakuru, highs of 29 and lows of 14. We'll see highs of 29. In a clear Nyeri, currently at 12. It's 12 degrees, and clear in Eldoret, highs of 28 and lows of 12 today. Partly cloudy conditions at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's partly cloudy, currently at 25. 20 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 32 in a clear Kakamega at 16. Kampala's partly cloudy at 17, highs of 30 today, highs of 33 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 27. We'll see lows of 26. Johannesburg raining this morning, still at 15, highs of 21 and lows of 13, while it's clear in Lagos at 27. We'll go to highs of 32 today. Kinshasa's partly cloudy at 24. We'll see highs of 32. It's 10 degrees into Tuesday afternoon in Beijing, highs of 19 and lows of 5. It's raining in Paris at 8, highs of 14 and 7 degrees, and clear in London. We'll go to highs of 14 as well. 14 will also be the high in a clear New York, currently at 8 degrees, still Monday night. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see lows of 6.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Twenty-two after 6. So, Ndu, who's online?
Ednah says he's listening from Koru with great anticipation of rain. It rained yesterday, didn't it? Was that in my dreams? It did.
Where?
In Kenya, Nairobi, here, Mombasa. It didn't rain?
No, you've got to be specific. Kenya is big.
Did it rain yesterday in your neck of the woods?
No, not in mine. Did it rain in your city?
It rained in my neck of the woods, just here.
Let's just give this thing a kind approach. It rained in the last week.
Oh, stop it. I'm talking about in the last 24 hours. I see what you guys are doing. I've seen you from far. Abdikadir Abdallah says, good morning. He's tuned in and till the end. Kisumu is tuned in, looking forward to a great conversation. This is Sir Haran. Dalu. Hey, this is very interesting because in my language, there's a word like this. Dalu. Dalu means well done. So, there's a place apparently called Dalu, and that's where Martin Mafula Mabusi is this morning. Muga says, good morning from this side. Well, hello from this side too. Pius Batha says, good morning, loud and clear from Australia. Well, you're well into Tuesday afternoon. Patrick Fikirini says Mombasa is tuned in. Robert is also in Mombasa. Senator Tanui is in Nyahururu. Nyahururu is in... Finish. Where is Nyahururu? Where is Nyahururu? Which county?
As in which county?
Yeah.
It's in Nyandaro and Laikipia.
Oh, okay. Like spread over
Actually,
both.
but it's
always been like that. It was in Rift Valley and Central.
Then it moved.
No, you're right. You're right.
Huh,
it was in Rift Valley.
One part of Nyahururu was in Rift Valley province. Mm-hmm. The other part of Nyahururu was in Central province.
Why you say was?
Because we no longer have provinces.
Oh, no, I get that. But so now it's the same thing. And so now we're talking about across two counties.
Yes.
Voila.
So, say Nakuru County, part of the former Rift Valley. Say Nyandaro County, part of Central Province.
Okay.
Laikipia, actually.
Je comprends. Okay. Roger Sly says...
Wait, Laikipia was always in the Rift Valley, was it not?
Yeah. Okay. Salam alaikum nyote.
Walaikum salam.
Roger's Sly is locked in. Bila Shaka, he says, a happy Tuesday morning to Siti Oyaore.
It has
George
opened,
Tall.
as in that is a good morning. It has opened up.
The morning has opened.
Yes.
Beautiful. Stanley says he's happy. Well, he's not a very good morning. He says he's at the gas station. Unalipa bei ya V-Power. Una nyeshwa. Una nyeshwa. Normal petrol. Yeah. Karen in Eldoret is tuned in. That's where Boniface Andala is. And Demican says, good morning, tuned in from Sirisia in Bungoma County. Thanks for joining us, folks. Karibuni sana.
Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you on the show. Keep it here for interesting conversations. City Muga, courtesy of the Communications Authority. You have the day's proverb.
I do.
Yes.
We're still in Mauritania. Not all flowers in the tree produce fruit. Obvious, isn't it?
Not all flowers in the tree produce fruit.
Yes.
Okay. So? How will you know the one that will produce fruit? Or you have to wait for it to produce?
I think you've actually understood it perfectly. When you see the fruit, then you know very well that the flower preceded the fruit.
Right.
When you see the flower and it continues and there's no fruit, then you know
that this one doesn't produce fruit. Voila. It's a wait-see kind of thing. No?
Okay.
And the reference is tree.
Yeah.
Not bush. Tree.
Not all flowers in the tree produce fruit.
Yes, and not a shrub.
Tree.
Thank you so much, Eric.
So what's important about the tree? Why not?
The tree is the constant here. The flower seems to be competing with that constancy, but the outcome which is anticipated often is a fruit, because we talk about fruit trees. Now, here you have a situation where you assume that before that fruit becomes a fruit, it's first a flower. And we're being told sometimes it's just a flower, and not a flower fruit.
Or fruit flower.
Look at all the flowers. Not all of them will turn out to be fruits. Aye, all right. Thank you for the proverb, the Communications Authority. Teach your kids about online threats and how to stay safe online by reporting incidences of internet misuse to ke-cert, that is cirt.go.ke. Or you can call 0703 042 700, 0703 042 700, the Communications Authority. Time for the newspaper headlines. www.standardmedia.co.ke or Standard e-paper app on Google Play Store and Apple App Store.
Interesting one here. A rider linked to the woman's attack arrested at the border. Zakaria Nyaura was arrested while trying to sneak into Tanzania. The public outcry prompted action from the police, who arrested 16 suspects. The border rider, suspected of leading a gang in sexually assaulting a diplomat on Wangari Maathai Road a week ago, has been arrested. The rider was identified as Zakaria Nyaura. He has been on the run for assaulting the Zimbabwean who works with the World Food Programme. He was arrested at the border town of Isibenya in Migori County. Police Commander Mark Wanjala said Nyeri was arrested while trying to sneak into Tanzania. He was being tracked by police from headquarters, Wanjala added. Police spokesman Bruno Shiosho yesterday said Nyeri was by last evening being brought to Nairobi, where he will be charged. Police reports indicated detectives from the Elite Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau, augmented by a section of officers from the Nairobi DCI Regional Command Center, pounced on Nyeri as he tried to cross the border through back routes. In a 1-minute video that made rounds on social media a week ago, a crowd of border riders was seen following the woman's car on Wangari Maathai Road, urging her to come out. And so she's heard screaming. That story goes on, etc., etc. The following day, Uhuru Kenyatta, president, ordered a countrywide crackdown on rogue border riders. Last week, the search for Nyeri intensified in Nairobi, with DCI investigators taking the search beyond Mukuru Kayaba, where the man is said to live. Tuesday, DCI Chief George Kinoti announced on Twitter that he had escaped that Nyeri had escaped when detectives from the Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau raided his house. So they followed him until they found him in Migori County and is being brought to Nairobi for charges.
Let's see how this case pans out, right?
Isn't it interesting, though,
that
the
caught him
agencies, when they decide that they want to do something and they throw everything at it, they can actually achieve something when they want to. And I'm going to stick that it's when they want to.
Mkono wa serikali ni mrefu. You can run, but you cannot hide. You see what they're saying? But let's see how this is tested in court. You know,
Indeed.
sometimes police talk big, you know, from our crime intelligence, from the triangulation, we placed this man on the scene of the
Tracking
crime,
him,
blah, and we went to this and the other. Okay, so now put together a case that can stand in court.
Present evidence.
Put together a case that can go before court and stand.
I am of this persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
The problem isn't the ability to put forward a case that can move forward. No. I'm saying this because we have seen enough cases being taken to court and they move forward. I would backtrack and ask myself, what cases are we looking at? Is there correlation, is there a pattern of certain types of cases that perennially there is supposedly a deficiency in providing adequate ammunition for it to move forward? This is my take, because it can't be. It's in the same country, people go to court does this process, there's a judgment. Why? Because there was ample evidence. It's the same people who are responsible for finding the evidence that is required to move the case forward. Then we bring other cases. For some reason, there's a to and fro. There's this and there's that.
It's a complex case.
You can't find. I say, and what about the others? So there's an overload. There's always an overload. Too many cases. There are always too many cases.
So you're saying when it's small fish,
man, you're going to
easy
get
to
jailed.
fry.
You're going to get. First of all, you're actually in jail, even as this thing is going on. Call it remand, call it whatever. Huh?
Small fish are easy to fry.
Indeed.
Yes.
Or it seems as though there is more desire.
Take your pick of the cases where we are told continuously that somehow, somewhere, there wasn't ample evidence to move the case forward.
Adjournment here,
yes,
adjournment
yes.
there.
Look at them.
Blah, 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 blah.
Do they involve simple one-inch? The answer is no. They do not. Do they involve small enterprises? The answer is no. They don't.
Well, yeah.
My take.
That's a big take. It's a big one. 27 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick one. Take a look at the traffic. We'll be looking at other newspaper headlines shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
And it's building up in certain parts of the city this morning. We're seeing some action on the Thika Superhighway already, and it's going towards the Pangani underpass. Looks like it's going to be this way for some time. What else are we seeing? We're seeing a little bit of Juja Road here and there. Traffic is coming out of Westlands as well. It is going to be jam-packed on Ring Road Westlands. And we're also seeing action coming off on Chiromo. Not as bad as it was yesterday. By this time, it had already clogged up, and we're looking at a bumper-to-bumper situation. On Outer Ring, it's looking good as well. Jogo Road starting to clog up, especially around the train station. Langata Road also doing that thing this morning, and it's going to get trickier as we go along. If we look at Mombasa Road, we're looking at some traffic outbound and inbound as well, right around the Maradaima, but then going towards North Airport Road, not too much of an issue. Looks like folks are taking a little while to wake up this morning, but we'll be here for it. Let us know what's happening where you are. If just in case there's an issue that we ought to know about, we'll spread the words. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Okay,
Spice
so
FM,
IPRA has
Nairobi.
done what IPRA is supposed to do according to the law, and IPRA has announced the new oil prices for the next 1 month. Fuel Super Petrol is going to retail in Nairobi at 134 shillings and 72 cents per litre. In the new prices announced yesterday, while diesel retail at 115 shillings and 60 cents. IPRA says, actually, you see that kitty? That one, it's helping. Because why not for that kitty? you'd be buying a litre of super petrol at 155 shillings. So the government has spent 20 shillings and 39 cents cushioning consumers against a sharp increase. Now the subsidy is still in effect. So despite the prices going up, the subsidy is still somewhere in effect. Why couldn't it subsidize everything? Anyway, that's a story. Back page of the Nation this morning. Anxiety is spreading across Kenya's business communities as the taxman rolls out a series of new tax surveillance systems that will hand the state real-time access to financial data for scrutiny. In a bid to tighten supervision, KRA announced installation of flow meters and CCTV cameras in alcohol factories, guaranteeing the state round-the-clock information on the operations of manufacturers to curb tax evasion. KRA has also announced that all ETRs are to be connected to its system for monitoring of daily sales. The two systems will give KRA a view of goods as they leave the production line to the point of exchange between retailers and consumers, collecting what is due at each point along the supply chain. Talk about Big Brother.
What?
This one is father.
This Big Father watching with all four eyes.
And
start with this one. All alcohol manufacturers, you must have a CCTV camera installed, and it is connected to KRA.
I just want to pause even before you go on any further. This is not in any violation of any privacy laws that we have in this country.
No.
It's not.
That's what they like.
So, can I also go and set up my CCTV in KRA?
So that you see what?
What they're doing. To make sure that what they're doing is what they say they're doing. Just asking.
I don't know. You could try.
I don't know
then
how
you come and
successful
tell
you
us.
would be, but you know,
Well,
you
you
come
can
and
give
tell
it a
us.
shot.
You see, me here isn't I, Charles T. Muga. No. I here, citizen of Kenya.
Is citizen.
Yes, constitutionally. We the people, I, okay?
The person.
Government, I, okay? Now, let's say that I ask my servants who work, say, in the AG's chambers and who also work in the security arm of government, I, okay? We decide that alongside this, we are also going to monitor the monitor. Okay.
Yeah, let's be sure what you're doing.
Yeah,
as well.
we've heard what you're saying. Sounds like it's a
That's
good thing.
nice.
But let's also do
Watch
due
you.
diligence, and it's called oversight, so that we also have our CCTV with you, starting with the Director General of KRA, his office, then the people who are in charge of these commissioners in charge of office, then collection points, office, that office where they tally these figures so that it becomes billions. 2 shillings, 2 shillings, 2 shillings, 1 billion. That one. CCTV.
The officers as they come back from
So-
the field.
Why?
So that what they're doing, we like. It is good. You want to make sure that there's oversight. But we have learned the hard way that in this country, oversight always needs oversight.
Okay. So they're
Hang
not
on.
saying they want a camera in Jen Karuku's office at EABL, at KBL.
That's what they want, but they're not going to say that.
Don't say it.
They're saying they want at the factory.
That's what they want.
As the vehicles leave.
And Jen Karuku's office is where?
See, it's inside the factory. Now, me them, they want the CCTV at exit.
Did I not say it is at the office?
You did. In fact, you did. Yes.
This is what
Carry on.
Isaac Ashoka, who's a KRA domestic tax enforcement officer, says, this year we've come up with a very aggressive way of ensuring that all manufacturers of alcohol are fitted with 3 key gadgets. 1, a mass custody flow meter. 2, a radar to monitor what is entering their tanks, and CCTV cameras. All these gadgets will be integrated and ensure that they can relay data remotely.
Why?
See, this is where these guys have been playing games.
You know something?
They produce 70,000 units.
Then they say they've produced 25,000.
Yes.
It's okay. Let me tell you, this thing is going to go to court.
Before you can say Jack Robinson.
This one.
It's
going to court.
injunction. Very
It's
fast.
going to go to court,
Wait
but
and see.
carry on.
Why?
Some reason will be found within our laws that make
First
it
of all,
possible.
ETR, they're just saying the ETR will be connected live. All right? So as you issue,
They're getting it. Not bring your tally
to you,
later.
no. direct.
It will be
Second,
challenged.
CCTV. Third, radar to monitor what is entering the tank.
See? See?
They want to monitor what is entering.
See? See?
Ati pombe lengia gudu 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 gudu. We want to see gudu 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 is how much.
We want to see the level where it's reaching.
See? Now, let's say this is a good thing. Should we also not say that, fine?
We want to see as the money is entering.
Hey!
We want to see how the money is entering.
And while we're there, also CCTV in Treasury. Okay? Yeah. CCTV everywhere.
If we're watching, let's watch.
That ETR in Treasury called IFMIS. CCTV live feeds. We want to know when it goes on,
Should
when
be
it goes
beaming
off.
When it's opening, when it's
Yes,
closing.
we want to know when the tap of that IFMIS is open so that counties can access money.
Money has been released. You see.
Midnight to 1 o'clock, then
yeah.
switched off.
Yeah.
We want to know. See, we brought in the culture of CCTV. CCTV
Put it everywhere.
everywhere, so that we can all say, okay, we all know what everybody's doing. It's good. I think I like that idea.
Yes,
CCTV.
nice.
But is this too much, Bakari?
It is.
Come on, man. Seriously.
Can
No,
you get
but
more invasive than that?
What do you want to hide? What do you have to hide?
But why? What,
I mean, if you're manufacturing,
What
alcohol
don't you
and
know
you're
that you
selling-
really want to know?
what are they looking for? Why can't they just come out and say it?
But they're saying.
No. They're putting all these things in place basically to say because you're not going to come out and tell
Wait,
folks
say-
that you might be hiding the volumes that you're actually producing. But we're
Have
just
you-
going to put a camera there so
But
that
you've
you
seen-
have no opportunity to hide.
You've seen the raid by KRA to that African spirits, right? You've seen the kind of action that KRA has had at Keroche. You've seen all that. So they're saying, look, experience has taught us that this willing compliance.
It's called voluntary.
We are not giving you the
voluntary,
benefits
yes.
of the doubt anymore. We are going to
We're just
make
placing
sure
this here so that what you tell us and what we see
it's the same thing.
is the same thing.
Eric,
If you have nothing to hide, then
Then it
there's
should be all
absolutely
right.
nothing here. I mean, we are just putting an ETR, and you
you know that big container where they say the liquid that eventually becomes alcohol is put into, and then it goes there. All these pipes that take it to God knows where. At the end of the day, it's either in a bottle, or it's in what's that gadget called?
the keg.
The keg.
Keg,
It's somewhere. Now, are you telling me that KRA doesn't have the means to determine what is actually? Forget what they're saying they have in the factory.
They tried it. They came with those stamps. Remember the KRA stamps? Okay, so they came with those KRA stamps and said every unit that is living, fix the KRA stamp so that it leaves. What did they discover? Fake KRA stamps.
That's not.
So that was why they blame the brewers. No, I mean seriously, why are they blaming the brewers?
For the fake KRA stamps?
Yes.
Because the KRA stamps are with the brewer.
No, Eric, you know.
They were not found at Times Tower. The fake stamps are found at the breweries
See,
and the distilleries.
you know where my real problem
This is
here?
where the things are coming out.
Who
So we are seeing all of them have a stamp.
Eric,
But not all these stamps are actual stamps.
they are stamps. You see, I am even doubting whether there was a query there. Who determines whether the stamp is genuine or not? It's KRA. Is there any other body that verifies it? So if they are the only ones who verify it, where do you think the problem is? Is it with the brewer or is it with
the
KRA?
people who are
or with KRA?
verifying.
So
The people are
both.
supposed to verify.
So it's both.
You see,
So now as a Commissioner General, you want to make sure that your people are not playing those games. So you put what? CCTV where?
Everywhere, including the KRA.
Eric, you know, I understand that KRA is trying to find smart ways of ensuring that they collect all the monies that they can collect. I understand. And I applaud the effort. But when the effort you're making appears to move very ever so quietly and gently towards infringing on people's rights, you are going to have pushback like you haven't seen. This isn't different from Alcoblo. There are things that are good in and of themselves, but believe me, you don't really want to push too hard on the will and of the personal freedoms of people. That one, people are able to put up with all these heavy taxes and all these things because in this country we believe we enjoy a certain amount of freedom. You are free to do this. Every time you find there's a bit of a fuss that we are kicking, it's because our freedoms are being infringed. What did COVID do? Our take on COVID was it's infringing on our freedoms. Forget the health hazard. Freedoms. So now, KRA is coming up with something that cannot be looked at in any other light other than an invasion of privacy. And they're saying, this is the way they've figured out. I'm saying, figure it out again. You are KRA after all. There's no other body that collects money like you do. It's only you.
Refigure
it.
This thing out.
If you can't figure it out, get people who can refigure this thing out for you so that you can do it better. But if you go around doing something that appears like it's infringing on people's rights, you are going to get pushback that you don't need. And what they're doing, they need to do because we need an efficient collection mechanism for our taxes. Nothing wrong with what they're trying to do, but the way they're going about it,
it just creates them as
yes,
this very acrimonious body that is not friendly, that is a policing state. It's too much. It's 13 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick one. We'll look at other headlines shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay, City. What are you looking at?
Oh, it's my turn. Okay, sour. Right. Okay. All right. Some good news. If you happen to have shares in Standard the bank, Standard Chartered, if you happen to have shares, leap and shout for joy and sing hallelujah to the heavens. Because Standard is set to pay a record 7.1 billion shillings dividend to the people who own shares in that delightful company. Billion, yeah. Okay? Now, Standard Chartered Bank, okay? Not Standard Chartered Hotel. No. Not Standard Chartered Tea Room. Bank. Yeah. Because I was very surprised. I thought the Hilton Hotel was nestled in Nairobi. In my many travels across the country, I found many Hilton hotels.
Always Hiltons.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you.
So I'm actually being specific here. All right. Standard Chartered Bank, Kenya, is set to pay a record dividend of 7.1 billion on ordinary shares for the year ended December. That's last year, when its net income surged on lower expenses and higher non-interest incomes. I have no idea what that is, but that's what they've written here. The company declared a final dividend of 14 per share, having already made an interim distribution of 5 shillings per share. Okay? Still don't understand what they're talking about, but there we go. This will bring the total payout to 19 shillings per share, or 7.1 billion, representing 81% increase from the previous year's 3.9 billion, or 10 shillings 0.5 per share. The bit that I've caught and the one I like is the one where 19 shillings per share mutates and it becomes 7.1 billion. That one.
You like it?
Yes.
Okay.
So which means if you... No, I'm not going to say that. That will be a lie. And for every share you have...
You can get 19 shillings on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So given the number of people who have shares or the shares that are available, do the math, 1 plus 1
it's a good
times
It's a good chunk of change.
So this is in COVID pandemic Yeah, and times.
You, my man, are
And the bank has actually announced such good returns.
It's not just them. Other banks, if you look at, they've done splendidly, swimmingly well over this particular period.
Wow.
So when people tell you,
Hakuna pesa.
You have heard me
Kuna
on many
biashara.
occasions say, pesa.
Liars.
But also, it's not. This morning I was taken, the Uber driver who brought me to work was a lady by the name of Agnes. She was in the banking industry. And somehow that job came to an end. And she got some dues and she decided to try Uber. She's a mother of children, okay? So I was asking her, why is it that you're up this early? She says, well, I was dropping my children to take a bus because they're going to school at that hour. I said, she explained to me why that hour was useful.
Okay.
Then she had work. But the thing that I found interesting, she says, she is thankful to God that job came to an end because she likes what she's doing. And she's making a good living out of it. Now, why do I mention this? I mention the flexibility that citizens of this country have in looking at situations that have the potential of being damning to them and turning it around so that they themselves benefit. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying we do our bit. This bank made money because the citizens did their bit. Saved money, didn't spend. Others borrowed, paid back, whatever the case is. So you have a situation where banks were letting people go. COVID related. But in letting people go, money was still being made. There is no bank. Is any bank you know that went bust because of COVID? I don't.
Nope.
Precisely. The big banks made money and they've talked about the big monies that they made. There's a moral issue here. I would have expected that when this amount of money is made in the times that we have, they would also loudly, some banks have though, loudly tell us what it is that they are going to do beyond that collective Harambe camp that they had, what it is that they're going to do to try and alleviate the problems that people are having. Because to make that amount of money amidst the amount of problems that we're seeing in this country, it touches on morality. Something is not quite okay.
Does morality work with banking, though?
Does morality work with making profit? Yes.
With banking?
Banking that's so
those two,
cutthroat in the way in which
from the very beginning of time.
You know, the fact that it hasn't been raised doesn't mean it can't be raised. It is profit nonetheless. And banks operate and function and make money because they sell money, they buy money. That's their business, we understand. But the people from whom you do this business, if you can benefit that much from them, CSR comes into operation. We understand, but I'm saying loudly, visibly show that even as you're making this amount of money, you are also willing to ensure that people who are at the lower end of this particular economic bracket are given a helping hand.
Those ones are the ones who are actually going to suffer. Now that the CBK has told the banks, you can actually now assess a potential borrower based on their own capability to pay. You see all those people you're talking about? Basic assessment would indicate that they are not very good borrowers from very many of what the banks use as metrics.
Precisely.
So their interest rates are going to go higher when you're going to borrow. Oh, you don't have a solid guarantor? Fine. You don't have something that you're showing us how you're going to be able to pay back this money. Yeah, you're a small SME. You're telling us stories of giants here that, you're going to start an Uber. My friend, interest rate changes.
Well,
so all those things that you're saying at you wait.
You see, I am actually arguing that the premise on which banking functions in this country needs to be relooked at. That's all I'm trying to say. You see, you cannot, on the one hand, make money from people who do business with you and the citizens of this country, and yet you cannot visibly say that you're actively participating regularly in ensuring that those who are at the real bottom of that economic pyramid are not being considered. No. I'm saying morally there's something wrong there.
Can be done. Okay, so there's a new director at the Kenya Cooperative Creameries, right? His name is Nixon Sige. And he said that it's time there was joint effort to tame high feed prices. He's encouraging public-private partnerships in the production of livestock feeds, which will ease the burden on the dairy farmers. He's noted that dairy producers heavily rely on concentrates whose raw products are imported from Uganda and Tanzania, masking or rather making feeds too expensive. Sige said there is need to engage dairy players in the private and public sector with a view of lowering the cost of feed to support expansion of the sector. All right, somebody has said it out loud. We urge the government to encourage the cultivation of available land in agriculture institutions, including the Agricultural Development Corporation, the Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, and the Kenya Agricultural and Lifestyle Research Organization, for private players to produce livestock feeds. He said private players should all be allowed to cultivate public land to produce fodder in order to boost access to affordable feeds. He has advised farmers to produce protein-rich fodder, including lucerne, sunflower, sorghum, and soybean during the rainy season for use in dry spells. It comes as the dairy cooperative societies record a drastic drop in milk supplies as long dry spells and high cost of feeds are hurting productivity. So he's saying, look, there's public land and private farmers seem to know what to do. Allow private farmers to farm on the public land and let's reduce the cost of input.
Make use of the land that's available. So lease it out to some corporations.
And let them do it.
Let them do it on contract. For as long as you're producing this much, you have access to the land. If you're not, get out, somebody else comes
Come in and do it.
You're talking of land. Kakamega, land. They found gold. And a lot of it, net worth, 365 billion.
Come on.
Oh, quickly. Let me just tell you briefly. To get into the hour. There's a company called Shanta Gold. Okay. They are an exploration firm, and they say that they found high-grade gold in Western Kenya. It's in the Kakamega area. This is how they work it out. The price of gold is, should we say, it is capped on ounces. Okay, must say ounce, ounce kidogo, high zero. But the gold high-grade deposits estimate at 1.6 ounces. Sorry, 1.6 million ounces, not 1.6 ounces. You do the maths. The current value, you're talking about 364.4 billion worth. Now, if I remember my understanding of how these streams and strands of gold work, that is in that region, the likelihood is that they'll find many more other deposits worth a lot more. So, this is a story for the future. Let's see how it develops.
Very true. Very true. Cipladon.
2 times faster, and it's an effervescent paracetamol. It's 2 times faster than your normal paracetamol. So that headache that you were feeling when you said, look, CCTV, KRA, these tension, it brought some tension instantly, didn't it? Now, if you had it and you dunk it in some water, by the time it reaches some few minutes after 7 o'clock, you would have been all right. So that's what we're asking folks to do. You have that tension headache, aches and pains from cold and flu, period pain, backache, tension, twice as fast. Effervescent, fizzles out.
That thing works.
You drink it, you're good.
It works.
And you can get it at all good pharmacies and Chandarana supermarkets.
It works.
It works, chop like that.
It works.
It does.
It works.
It does.
It was experimented in my household over the weekend. It works.
Okay.
Headaches, fizzle, water. Report.
Did symptoms persist?
No.
Which
symptoms
one was it?
Did not persist.
The 500 mg or the 1000 mg?
The one which you put in water.
Okay, all of them you put.
Oh, you mean you can put both in water?
So long as it says effervescent. So long as it says effervescent, you can put it in
I
water.
looked for the really big tablet. That's the one I put in water.
I'm pretty sure that you've opened the other packet.
I figured this one isn't for swallowing.
That would have been an interesting one if you're trying to swallow. So the question is, did symptoms persist?
No.
Voila. In case they had, you would have needed to seek medical advice. But in this case, you didn't. So it was great. Cipladon, twice.
Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We talk about civil society participation in Financial Action Task Force process. Good morning. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Saseto. All is set for today's much-awaited United Democratic Alliance National Delegates Conference at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. More than 5,000 delegates are expected to attend the party meeting that will see Deputy President William Ruto formally endorsed as UDA's presidential flag bearer. Tharaka Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki hinted that the party has invited guests including Kenya leader Martha Karua as well as leaders of affiliate parties within the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, Ford Kenya, Amani National Congress and other surprise guests. The Deputy President's endorsement will mark his decamping from Jubilee Party to the newly formed UDA party in the 2022 general elections. Other issues the delegates' convention is aimed to look into will include a review and approval of party's policies as well as considering and approving any other party matters that will include the political signings in the newly formed Kenya Kwanza Alliance, which brings together the Amani National Congress and Ford Kenya Party. Meanwhile, Martha Karua has stated that she will not be attending the UDA NDC. Karua in a tweet stated that she will not be attending the NDC this morning, coming days after she snubbed the signing of the agreement to work with Azimio la Umoja through the One Kenya Alliance that she is part of. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka revealed that there were issues with the document being signed that led to the unavailability of Martha Karua and Cyrus Jirongo from the event, but that they are working to streamline things in the coming days.
Quite frankly, my Secretary General did not sign the second document because it was specific about Azimio. We were not Azimio. So what was passed there, Raila Odinga was given a ticket as presidential candidate of Azimio at KICC. But when we went to Jacaranda, I clarified that now, on behalf of Okoh, and I believe my friends would agree with me, I still would want to have a meeting because it's only Gideon who showed up. I was talking to Cyrus Jirongo, he was caught up in the traffic. The whole thing was confusing because they were there to announce Raila as a flag bearer or presidential candidate of Azimio la Umoja. Now, that thing has shifted to Azimio One Kenya.
Now you will have to dig deeper into your pocket to be able to afford petroleum products. This is after fuel prices went up by 5 shillings in what is likely to push up the country's cost of living. The new adjustment was announced in a monthly review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority (EPRA). Under the new prices, super petrol and diesel will retail at 134 shillings and 72 cents and 115 shillings and 60 cents per litre, respectively. Kerosene will remain unchanged at 103 shillings and 54 cents per litre. It is the first increase since November 2021 in what sources said is linked to the crisis between Ukraine and Russia. The average landed cost of imported super petrol increased by 13 shillings and 34 cents from US dollars 596.79 per cubic meter in January 2022 to US dollars 676.40 per cubic meter in February 2022. Diesel increased by 11.74% from US dollars 606.16 per cubic meter to US dollars 677.31 per cubic meter. The landing cost of kerosene also increased by 15.94% from US dollars 534.38 to US dollars 619.57 per cubic meter. According to EPRA, the government will utilize the Petroleum Development Levy to cushion consumers from otherwise high prices. Now, the government has given some 7,213 non-governmental organizations operating in the country that are yet to file their annual returns with the NGO Coordination Board 90 days to be compliant or risk deregistration. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, who officially launched the NGO Sector 2020-2021 report, said that 9,525 active NGOs are important partners in the Big Four agenda, civic awareness and peace building. Matiang'i urged the NGO board to allow the non-compliant members a 3-month grace period to comply with existing regulations. He added that the new report suggests that there might be over 2,000 briefcase NGOs in the country or those registered by individuals, pointing out that compliance will play a critical role towards providing critical and accurate data in planning. And DCI detectives arrested a man believed to be the prime suspect behind the sexual assault of a female motorist along Wangari Maathai Road. Zakaria Nyaura Obadia, who masterminded the attack on a woman along Wangari Maathai Road, was arrested at the Kenya-Tanzania border in Sirare. The sleuths from the Elite Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau, augmented by a section of detectives from Nairobi DCI Regional Command, pounced on him as he tried to cross the border to Tanzania through a Panya route. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
All right, looking at traffic building up on Langata Road today, getting out towards the Wilson Airport and then through to the roundabout at Timor. Spilling over to Raila Odinga Way, not so much. We're looking at Huru Highway then from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout out into the city and then out towards Westlands. That's doing a thing this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, not too much in terms of traffic. We're looking at inbound traffic coming up from Allsops out then towards Pangani. But then you're going to get to Muranga Road and you'll be all right. Kiambu Road, we're looking at in and outbound traffic and it's just past Pipeline. But it should be all right. So we're looking at Limuru Road as well, coming into Westlands or into the city. Some traffic here and there. The eastern side of the city, we've got the eastern bypass, then Kangundo Road, and then Outer Ring. Not too terrible this morning. Looks like we've started Tuesday just right. How about we continue in that fine fashion? Just in case things get sticky, talk to us, SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7
This
after
is the
7 on the
Situation
15th
Room,
day
the
of
only way to
March
start your day.
2022. Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. If you're just joining us, wherever you are, whether on Spice FM around the country or around the globe on Spice FM KE on YouTube or Facebook, Karibu sana, and we are glad that you've chosen to tune in to us this morning. C.T. Muga has the day's proverb courtesy of our friends at the Communications Authority.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit.
Yes. Tree, flower. You know, leaves, branch, twigs.
That kind of tree.
Flower. Some flower, pam, 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 time, fruit. Other flowers, pam, 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 time, still flower. No fruit.
Drop to the
That
ground.
one. Drop to the ground, not die, seemingly die.
Still again.
Process begins again. Give it time, comes tree again. That one.
Why? Flower becomes tree again if it hasn't gone to fruit?
Yep.
Without a seed?
Of course.
My friend.
The assumption is that the seed rests from the flower.
Actually, it does.
If a flower has not become a seed,
yes, it does.
and it withers and then falls to the ground.
It has not become a fruit, but it still has a seed.
Yes, it does. Remember also, there are these little creatures called bees. There are other creatures called birds. Now, what they also do, they have this process of ensuring that this process...
Life is continued.
So they'll take a bit of this, take it to the other place.
Okay.
So when I say drop
That is
down
okay.
there-
That one I get.
Oh, you,
Because the bees are coming for the nectar at the point when the flower is still blooming. When the flower withers and falls to the ground, what happens?
so it dies.
Does it become a tree again?
Yes, the flower isn't quite dead because part of what the bee and the birds do is they ensure that that death is not the end of that particular flower. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Nesawa ende.
Yeah, just say sour.
Nesa sawa ende. Nesa sawa. The Communications Authority would like to remind you how to keep our children safe online. Teach your kids about online threats and how to stay safe online. Reporting incidences of internet misuse 0703 042 700 or 703 042 700. We have a guest in the studio. We want to talk about money laundering. And we want to know whether money laundering is wash. Are they one and the same thing? Welcome, City. Welcome. Philip Mutio is the program coordinator at Transparency International Kenya. Philip is with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning to you, host. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. That is the hot seat. But don't worry. We're talking about money.
Yes.
As long as it's money.
It's a lie. It's hot. His money is hot.
We will make it comfortable. Yes. So we will talk about money laundering, because the general conversation here is on the Financial Action Task Force and why the civil society should participate in the financial in this Financial Action Task Force process in the country. So before we come to the Financial Action Task Force process, see, we just understand what is money laundering.
Can I mention TI Kenya, what it does?
Yes.
By all means.
Oh, yes.
Please.
Transparency International Kenya is a not-for-profit organization founded in 1999 with the aim of developing a transparent and corruption-free society through good governance and social justice initiative. It is one of the autonomous chapters bound by a common vision of a corrupt-free world. And in this case, TI Kenya envisions a world where Kenya will be corrupt-free at one time. Yeah.
TI is known in this country. It has done some good work.
It's been here for quite a while.
Yes.
And it has, should we say, it has trodden where other people feared to tread.
Yes.
Yes, and Financial Task Force, you ask me, is an intergovernmental organization that aims to promote the enforcement of legal and regulatory measures against money laundering and terrorism financing. And what is money laundering, you ask?
Yes.
Money laundering is the process whereby dirty money or money obtained illegally is taken through a process of cleaning, whether through buying a property. For example, if somebody, and we have cases where somebody has come across, maybe he's been bribed $1 million or 200 million, and he uses money, goes to a bank in cash, says, I have this money. If the bank doesn't ask question, and of course now there is laws to stop that, that money now can be converted into clean money, because once you buy a property, that property is clean. You can say this is my property, because it is not cash. When it is cash, people worry. So it is similar to what you said. It is the same and one, the wash.
It's wash.
So it's legitimizing this money. Is that what it is?
Yes, it's making it, it's turning dirty money into clean money and legitimizing it such that it goes into the system, the way it would go through terrorism, where an organization is given money by somebody who wants to promote terrorism, and they take that money as support, and eventually they use that money for their work, and then the person comes and says, give this money, and that money then is used to encourage terrorism attacks.
But may I ask you, does it really make this money legitimate or clean? Because the original source can still be traced. So if the source of it was never clean, can you say that it has become legitimate, whether you buy property or whether you invest it in businesses, whatever? Is it really clean?
It is not clean, but the process makes it look clean for the person who is using it, because it is illegally obtained.
Right.
Yeah. So it is never legitimate, but it is be clean such that now it's very hard to follow it up.
Okay.
Is it possible to explain what money can be considered to be legitimate and what can be considered to be illegitimate?
I think that is a hard one, but it is money where you earn, like working in the studio here, where you earn, your money is paid in your salary. But it's not money, for example, where we hear somebody works for a government and they have just gone and bought 10 flats, and you just wonder, can I work 9 to 5 and just go and buy 10 flats at a go? Can I earn a salary that quick and that much? So that is a question. We can tell when it is large sums of monies, whose sources are suspicious sources, or you can't explain where the sources is coming from.
At what point does it become suspicious? At the level where I have bought one house, at the level where I have bought 2 houses, I have built a block of flats. What I'm trying to ask is, a country like ours, where there are really very many people who cannot readily explain to you how it is they have acquired and accumulated the wealth they have. It's not that they can't explain. They can, but it isn't, they don't have a business that produces values. You could say that money was generated through that business. They have a paid job and they work for the government. They didn't inherit that money from some relative who had
made lots of money.
Yes.
They don't have a gold mine. They don't have an oil well. They don't have an industry. These things which generate money, they don't have. And yet, they have a lot of money. So you're saying individuals such as these ones are the ones who will be looked at suspiciously when considering this illegitimate money.
Yes, because you'll be asked, how did you come across these large sums of money? And yet we know your job is a director in government where you earn 2,500 or 300,000 a month. How did you come across 100 million? What is the source of the money? Is it corruptly obtained money, or is it money that came through drug trafficking, or
who decides that it's corrupt? Who decides that it's corruptly obtained?
It is the authorities that decide it is corruptly obtained. And the banks have to decide. If you go to the banks, are supposed to decide, because they have the system under this FATF where they have the KYC, know your customer. When somebody comes to say, I want to put in my 100 million here, the bank is supposed to ask you such specific question, the source of the money, and how did you come across it? Because 100 million can't be obtained through a salary for
your account has 10K.
And your account has had even 100K. How have you just got this money? When the banks ask that question, then it is their work to refer to the relevant authorities like the Financial Reporting Center and other relevant authorities, so that the money can be investigated and be ascertained what the source is, and then the mechanisms take place.
You know, I asked the question is because it's like the large amounts ring the bells, the alarm bells, rather. But corruption doesn't necessarily happen with large sums. It could be in small sums, and it's cumulative.
Yes, it can be that way, and that's some of the ways they said in one of the scenarios we've had, that where somebody is afraid to approach the bank, they have that corruptly obtained money or illegal large sums of money. They go to the countryside, say, for example, in any part of the country, and buys livestock. It's one of the best ways to avoid being detected. You buy 50 cows. Those ones are going to be herded by the herdsman. In that case, who knows that money was bought? You bought it from the local trade.
In the market.
In the market. So that disappears, and that becomes clear. Now you will say, I'm a wealthy man. I'm a very wealthy man. I've got 100 cows. But nobody knows how. And then you come and buy another 100 goat. Again, you are not going through any system where you can be detected or it can be asked question. I think that is where the issue of money laundering becomes very complicated, and it needs a specialist authorities that deal with it.
To track it down.
Yes.
So basically there are three players here. There is the suspect. Yes. There's an intermediary, and this is now the livestock, the plots, the apartments, whatever.
Yes.
And then now there's the bank.
Yes.
Where the money ends up now coming clean into the financial system. It's your wealth, legitimately acquired, so to speak, and now you can floss.
Yes.
So we have all this, like you're saying, now the Financial Action Task Force is a global organization that brings in together, various governments.
Yes, intergovernmental body, yes.
And their job is to see how they can track and curb this process.
Yes, to help governments find ways to ensure that the systems are strengthened to avoid those situations happening. And where they happen, they are easily identified and dealt with by the relevant authorities.
Okay. From the desk at TI Kenya, is Kenya on track to strengthening, or does Kenya have strong systems to curb money laundering?
Yes, at the moment I think there has been very good progress in Kenya. It doesn't always come with success in terms of managing it, because there's always technical issues, but Kenya has done well post several evaluation reviews that were undertaken by the Financial Action Task Force through the regional the style regional body called the Eastern and Southern Money Laundering Group, which covers our part of the world. And some of them have been like the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act, which brought in some specific issues about now banks having to look at those issues about money laundering. The amendment, there was amendment in 2018 of the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act, which was past times consolidated previous other acts, amendments, but Companies Act was also amended in 2019 to provide for the submission of beneficial ownership. information, because previously companies did not have to give a lot of information, and that's how companies were able to get away with so many things. But now we have to know who the names of the company owners are, the beneficial owners, the real owners behind the company. So there has been progress. There was also in 2021, if I move quickly forward, in 2021, the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act was also amended, and it designed legal practitioners and savings credit like SACCOs as designated reporting institution, so that if you go to your SACCO with 100 million, the SACCO is supposed to ask you question, how did you come across this money, not just to put it in their account.
So SACCO should also act like a bank. Report me to the financial reporting center.
That is how they are supposed to do it, but that hasn't come to the effect. But I think that progress is going to be made
there's still a
with
window.
the advocacy and yes.
So what is this task force, this financial action task force that you've mentioned obviously here?
Yes.
What is it? Formed by who and for what purpose?
It is formed by governments. It is based in Paris, France. It is an intergovernmental body charged with the task of putting measures in place to fight against money laundering and terrorist financing in all various ways, at all levels, because it coordinates the regional body style like the Eastern and Southern Money Laundering Group, where they do mutual evaluation review. For example, this year, Kenya underwent a review. These reviews happen every 10 years, and now we are waiting. There will be what they call a plenary. The Eastern and Southern Money Laundering Group and the FATF, there will be a plenary that will happen in September this year to come up with a recommendation and their findings about where Kenya is at the moment in terms of compliance with the FATF. 49 plus recommendation. They are called 40 plus 9 recommendation. There are so many on different aspects. And when this plenary sits, it will come. It will eventually there will be publication of recommendation that will show how well we are doing and where we need to improve in terms of gaps we have in the law of managing these two key areas of money laundering and fighting terrorism financing.
So it's voluntary membership by the states?
Yes, it is. It is voluntary, but it is also highly encouraged, and many governments are in it because it helps them. Because, for example, when I think they came to Kenya in 2011, they had some findings that some areas were not fully meeting the requirements in order to ensure that the financial system is strong enough to fight issues around money laundering and terrorist financing. And you remember the conference, the London conference on anti-corruption conference. The government gave some commitment, and I think it is after those 2016 commitment at the London International Conference on Anti-Corruption that the government gave commitment, and then there was the amendments of Kamala in 2018.
We've seen very many times where organizations such as this one and others, when there's conflict or dispute, then members would say, okay, I'm only supposed to get recommendations from you, but those recommendations are not binding. I can choose to take your advice or I can choose to ignore your advice. So are the resolutions of this task force binding to the member states?
They make governments do the work. We can see this is one of the bodies that is very effective and efficient in its way because it has powers to affect the trade between countries. For example, if you are assessed as non-compliant with the FATF recommendations to the extent that they will report that way, that will affect your standing internationally, because many investors may not be interested to come and invest in your country, because if I go and invest in Kenya, we are likely to have serious money laundering, meaning we will be giving out our money, or money will go into the wrong places, or money may be coming from terrorism into our business. So I think governments are very encouraged, and governments try to comply very hard, and I think that's why our country has been going through a whole evaluation which started last year, but I think because of the COVID delayed and has just finished in January, February, and so now we are waiting for the findings. So I think it is a very important body, this one. You may say that, but governments know that lack of compliance means the ones that are complying, international trading partners, will not be very happy. Donor partners will not be happy to be trading with somebody where it is said there's a lot of cases of money laundering and terrorist financing.
Okay. So it's obviously important to civil society that governments, take this task force seriously. Why is it so important?
It is so important because the body sets up standards. The body sets up standards, and the civil society have a role to play because they can help bring out information. We are on the ground with communities where these issues may happen. We work with mining communities. We work in areas of advocacy. We work with their areas. Sometimes we collaborate with the government. So I think it is very important to us to advocate for the compliance with this recommendation, because they help us also the economy of the country and strengthen the legal system, the financial system.
Okay.
There are non-state actors, and in fact this week we are celebrating NGO week, right?
Yes.
2022. So non-state actors such as NGOs, civil society, foundations and such others.
Yes.
Some of them could be argued are actually conveyor belts for money laundering, such as foundations. And then also some NGOs. So NGOs receive support from various contributors. Some of them are opaque donors to an NGO, and then an NGO does not have that requirement within its own formation on how to report. So many of them are not reporting. Is it possible that NGOs could also be vehicles for money laundering?
Yes, it is. And there has been instances where some NGOs were suspected of having been involved in money laundering and such activities, but following investigation it was found that they had not. But you can see why this body is needed to have this regulatory measures in place. And when we look at the NGOs, there is a specific recommendation 8, which says that this body, their systems have to be reviewed. And in Kenya we have the national the non-governmental coordination board. The coordination board is the one that coordinates all the civil society organization, make sure that they are registered, make sure they comply with the requirement, that these reviews help them, the NGOs, to know that they should be aware when they are being used as conduits for money laundering, or their accounts can be used. And that was the instance, I think the case was there when Muhuri and Haki Africa were asked to go to the inspector of police and answer questions about those allegations. But it eventually was found that they had not. But you can see the importance of this body, because it is because of this recommendation and the reviews that after thorough investigation, it was found that they had not been involved in money laundering. And so they continue to operate, serving their communities, because FATF realizes the legitimacy of NGOs and the work they do at the grassroots and national level.
Talking about that, I recall when 2022, around 2016-17, the NGO coordinating council, they registered 800. I remember the number. NGOs.
Yes.
And many of them were involved in giving aid, but ostensibly the complaint was that they were being accused again of money laundering. Now, what I want to understand, if someone or an organization is accused of money laundering, what process is followed to determine whether this is true or not? Because from what I saw, accusation, police cell, then the bail, blah, 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 out, then you try to prove your case. What exactly is the process that should be followed if an accusation is leveled against an institution, an organization that they're involved in money laundering?
I think the same process that applies to all people is supposed to be applied, where if you are accused, because under the standard of criminal liability is beyond a reasonable doubt. So when you are accused of such serious crime, I think the first thing is that investigations are undertaken by the CID. There's thorough investigation on where the source is. You are asked question, it is determined or not. Then you are taken to court. Then the court establishes through, and you have representation established whether or not you have been involved. And then the law takes its course from there.
I say this because I was involved in an organization that was also once accused of money laundering. And what you say is true, because we were visited by officers of the DCI. We were written to by the money laundering, the agency, whatever it's called.
FRC.
Yes, we had a letter written by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption letter. Okay. But it's the DCI officers who actually came, and they went through not one, there were around 3 of them. They wanted to go through the books, wanted to understand the whole process. Yes. This matter even went before the Committee of Health in Parliament. Simply because of that accusation of money laundering. Yes. All right? Yes. It took a bit of time, but once again, it boiled down to what we may refer to as a misunderstanding. But if I look at that process,
yes,
the thing that came to my mind was, if it was an organization that hadn't got its ducks in a row, meaning everything that was being asked for, you provide. You would just say, what did you want? This one. The other one, this one. Here it is. The other one, here.
Then the accusation would stick.
You would have a problem.
Right.
You would have a serious problem on your hands simply because of that tag of money laundering. The tag.
Yes, and if I could just maybe say something about that. When the issue of money laundering and irregular practice were raised against Muhuri and Haki Africa as organization, it continued to give them a lot of problem when it came to dealing with the KRA, when it came to issues around filing returns, and some of their bank accounts were frozen. And you can imagine if you are serving communities, poor communities where you have to have advocacy meetings and others, and you can't have the money to help them or to give them the transport allowance or whatever it is you are supposed to give, it becomes a problem. And that is what you are saying.
Actually, it's worse than that, because if you are associated with any organization, whether it's a parastatal or a company, you are actually forced to take a back seat, as in resign.
Yep. You now a trustee.
A trustee of the individuals who are in position of authority. You set aside. And all that has happened is you've been accused.
What? Let's take a break. It's 28 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. We're talking about money laundering this morning, Financial Action Task Force, and why the civil society should participate in the Financial Action Task Force process in Kenya. Philip Mutio is a program coordinator at Transparency International Kenya. He is our guest this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God, there's nothing like unconditional forgiveness.
Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. These young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. You know, we are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive. I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
City, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, say, "Oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do"? Has anybody that kind of... Has anybody been
I will not listen.
A bit of advice. Because you're working on the premise that we should all pay heed to these proverbs. It's a very suspect notion.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 70 degrees and sunny in Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 17 today at 15. Nakuru is sunny, highs of 29 and lows of 14. It's sunny in Nyeri at 13, highs of 29 and lows of 12, while the sun is also out in Eldoret at 12. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 11. Mostly cloudy in Mombasa at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 25, while in Malindi it's cloudy at 26. We'll see highs of 31. 21 degrees and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 30 and lows of 20, and we'll see highs of 32 in a sunny Kakamega and lows of 15. Partly sunny conditions at 18 in Kampala, highs of 29 and lows of 17, while we'll see 27 as a low in a partly sunny Dar es Salaam. Go to highs of 33. The rain continues coming down in Johannesburg at 15, highs of 21 and lows of 13, while it's mostly clear in Lagos at 28. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 27. It's partly cloudy at 22 in Kinshasa. It'll go to highs of 32, back down to lows of 22.
Chilled Spice.
continues in most parts of the city. Let's look at Uhuru Highway as you're getting into the CBD. Slows down at many roundabouts. The junction between Langata Road and Lusaka, that continues. Between Bunyala Road and connecting with Aerodrome, that continues. We're also looking at traffic then between Haile Selassie Avenue and Gong Road, and then out towards Kenyatta Avenue through towards State House. I mean, it goes all the way through into Westlands. So very slow this morning there. Let's look at the Thika Superhighway, where traffic now is going way beyond the junction with Outer Ring. That continues. Kiambu Road is also quite thick, and we're looking at traffic on Limuru Road well into the belly of Gigiri this morning. Also look at traffic coming off of Kangunda Road and a little bit off Manyanja Road, a little bit as well on Juja Road going into the city. Not too bad in the eastern part of the city today, except your normal morning. Nothing out of the ordinary. Mombasa Road also continues. We're coming off of General Motors today. Over that hill is very slow. This one we don't have an option. Once you're there, and you have to stick to it. Before that, though, you can use the ICD route and use the Southern Bypass. If you've passed it, sit tight, folks. It's going to be a slow ride, at least for this morning. Let's look in about half an hour and see how that changes, shall we? And then let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
(23:08).
Mornings done right. 94.
It continues with our guest Philip Mutio, a program coordinator at Transparency International Kenya. We are talking about the Financial Action Task Force process in Kenya and why the civil society should participate in this. Philip, you wanted to respond to some part of the question that Ndu had asked.
Yes, she had asked how civil societies can contribute, what is the importance of how the civil societies can be involved. And I say they can contribute to the FATF and mutual evaluation processes in various ways. They haven't so far been involved in different ways, particularly the ones we collaborate with. Mm-hmm. One of the ways in which they can effectively contribute to the process is to implementation of the measures themselves, making sure that they themselves implement the government requirements, ensuring that compliance with the registration as organizations, that they are not used as conduits for money laundering, but also in the process safeguard against terrorism financing when carrying out their operations, making sure that any suspicious contribution they refuse so that they are not misused. Such measures would include putting into place good governance structures and strong financial management processes, incorporating robust internal and financial controls. They can also, civil society can contribute through the enhancement of the knowledge of law, this sensitization. CSOs, they need to be also conversant. The more they know about the process, the more they can help with ensuring that the risks are mitigated when they are doing their work. They can also be good sources of providing information to the process. They can contribute to the ideas, because the more ideas, the better, working on the ground with communities. And tracking, they can also be good source of tracking the implementation of that recommendation that the MERs to enlighten the communities they work with. Thank you.
You know, this is assuming that all civil societies are then formed to do what they have written on paper that they want to do. There could be those that are formed just as money laundering vehicles.
As a cover.
As a cover for very many other things. How do we weed out such?
I think the best way to do that is that the requirements, the compliance issues, ensuring that they are fully registered, and where they are not registered, when they go to bank to open an account, they have to give their details, that there is a good governance structure within them, and there is the real members. And any support, financial support is coming from legitimate sources, and where it is suspicious, the banks where they bank, they can be asked questions, know your client, and any suspicions can be addressed with. Yes.
You see, the body that is charged with overseeing or oversight in such bodies, what we call NGOs,
yes,
is the NGO Coordinating Council, all right?
The board.
The board.
It is now board.
It's now board, coordinating board,
yes.
all right?
Yes.
Now, there's a problem here. At the time of registration, indeed, due diligence is undertaken to ensure that one complies everything. Before you are actually given the green light to go ahead, some time and process takes place. But does that board have the muscle to ensure that they can provide adequate oversight to over 10,000 NGOs that we have in this particular country? Do they, even if they wanted to, do they have the capacity? Because once you've given the green light and those details are with the bank, sources are not a problem. You will state in advance. Do they have the means to ensure that what they said they were going to do is what they do on a daily basis? The reason why I'm asking this question is a very simple one.
Yes.
All right? If I know that all that is required for me is to do due diligence at the time of registration, I will make sure I do that. Beyond that, unless someone raises an issue.
And filing returns every year as required.
And I file the returns. Do they even have the capacity to ensure to go through all those returns that are actually... Yes.
That is an area that can be improved, and we know in some areas of management of those systems there need to be technical capacity, and that's where sometimes the NGOs themselves can come in if they have a friendly way of working, or they are coming under one structure. So I think when the PBO Act is operationalized, then it would be able to bring them in one structure.
There's a problem there.
What's the problem?
The problem is the NGOs may have structures, but the NGOs cannot be trusted to fully oversight themselves. There are NGOs who get funding with organizations that provide that oversight because they want to ensure their funds are actually used properly.
Yes.
But what about the others who give funds and simply want a report either quarterly or half yearly, and that's the end of the and that's it.
In fact, even just broadening it into non-states, right? The public benefit organizations, foundations. We have seen foundations formed.
Yes.
And they being formed by politicians, and you can clearly see it's
a political vehicle.
It's a political vehicle, and also a money laundering vehicle.
And that is where I think the issue of beneficial ownerships comes in, because the registers now, we haven't reached a stage where still the law on beneficial ownership hasn't included trusts and foreign companies, but that is one of the advocacy areas we are working very hard. TI is working very hard, and other NGOs, to ensure that those are brought into the requirement within the FATF compliance, such that when it is a trust, you can tell who the real people behind it are, the way you say. Because when it is set up as a vehicle, and because vehicles have the veil behind it, who is running that vehicle? It can just have any name. Yeah. So that is where we are advocating very hard for the changes in the law to ensure that trusts and foreign companies, which are not included, are now part of the compliance requirement and are part of beneficial ownership, so that you can actually look back and say, who are the real owners of this company, and what are their, what do they do? When the incomes are there, you'll be able to detect anything when you know who the owners are. But when it is just a vehicle, a shell, then you can't know who is
track.
Yes.
Two words that come up often: mutual evaluation.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean, and how does it relate or play out here then when we're talking about these processes?
Yes, mutual evaluation is a process whereby the FATF style body, like Eastern and Southern Money Laundering Group, in the case of our region, and based in Dar es Salaam, Esamblag, reviews the member countries. It's a peer review where you agree for the review, you provide your systems, the reviewers, and they are just a pool of reviewers. They come to Kenya, they go to Mombasa, they look at the CBK, they come to different institutions, government institutions, and look at compliance with the FATF style, both compliant and technical, to ensure that this money laundering and countering financing of terrorism is dealt with, but also the mechanisms are in place to ensure that the financial system is strong enough to overcome any challenges to do with money laundering. That review now, when it comes, it looks at those systems and they go back, like we said, now they have finished their review here, they have returned to Dar es Salaam, they will assess, they will review all the documents they have looked at and everything, and come up with a report, recommendations of where the gaps are that the country or Kenya needs to deal with, to address, and recommend and say where things have been done well.
Given the limited resources that is always available when one is undertaking such a task,
what percentage of accuracy can we then say we present when reports are written, when reports are brought forth?
Yes, like our government systems, it is very hard to tell because it is only the government who knows. Like, for example, in this case, the NGOs wanted, some of NGOs, a coalition of NGOs would have liked to be part of the process, just to share their insight. In fact, there was a shadow report done towards that by NGOs to say we would like to give ideas in this process, but they were not included, including our own. So I think it's very hard to get that accuracy you want, but we will rely on them because they are mutual. They are peer review, mutually agreed. So it is government to government, and the SMLAG as the body, that is a FATF style body representing this region. So it's hard to say what accuracy there is, but we would imagine that, one would imagine that the people involved are competent enough, they have the technical capacity, and usually they are expertise in their areas, and they are able to come up with the good recommendations that governments can rely on to implement any changes and to identify gaps and fill those gaps with either legislation or our policy.
The problem, I don't think, is ever the human resource capacity per se, as in the technical ability that's required to ensure that what is stated as requiring doing is actually done. I don't think that is the problem. The underlying problem is always that quality, if you're talking about our people as Kenyans, to subvert good systems for their own end and for their own benefit. That is the underlying issue that pervades this entire discussion. Because you have a good system, you have something which works. But some clever individuals have a counter and an alternative system which they use to actually benefit themselves. Now, the question I want to ask is, when you look at reports and when you look at the details that you sort of like collate together to come up with a report, what portion or what, if I can quantify seriousness, is given to this element, this personal adverse element that always interferes with these good intentions and these good purposes?
Again, it is very hard to tell because like us NGOs who are not involved, the only thing I can say is that we would have to trust that. And then when it comes, you can now poke holes into the report and say, well, we think this one, if we were involved, maybe this is some information we have come up with, or we would have to take it as it is because it's a government system and the government works that way. And our country, as you have said, has got those who want to divert system. We know we are living in a very...
We are fairly intelligent people.
Yeah, and yes, and corruption, corruption permeates our society.
Indeed, and I think that's related to the question that I want to ask. Is that so? We are seeing these task forces have been set up. Civil society is trying to do what they can do.
Yes.
Government has set up certain parameters to make sure that this thing is nipped in the bud when it can be, or at least dealt with after the fact. Do you think that action taken is commensurate to the cases that we see on a regular basis?
No,
or even though that we don't see.
I think you can raise some question about that. There has been some cases raised, and everybody is thinking, "Oh, that one is now going to happen."
Yeah,
it is so clear. But then it goes through the process, and somehow it dies down along the way, and it is not there. So again, I think the systems need to be improved. Of course, the capacity. I think we are talking about capacity for prosecution and capacity for investigations, so that when you are now taken to court, there is clear evidence has been completed properly. I think those are the key issues, and they remain the same key issues because the law is there. We have robust laws. We have Pukamala. We have prevention of against terrorism. We have many policies and systems
laws
in place. Yes, but enforcement remains a big key issue, and I think we have been reading in the paper about the extradition cases that was supposed to happen. When matters have been done in Jersey and they concluded, but we are still struggling here to get the extradition process working. So I think our system, the legal system, again, just to improve, I think.
Sure, but even if you look at the improvement of systems, don't you think that political will also plays a huge role here?
A great
because
part.
There's cronyism, there's protection of your people who may be involved. Where does this all play out?
I think you are very right. It's an attitude. I think if we are to overcome corruption and corruption-related money laundering and financing of terrorism, we have to deal with, we have to fight corruption properly with one heart as a people. But also we have to fight those cronyism, we have to fight that tribalism, where if you have obtained illegal large sums of money, you use your relatives to hide it. And I think those are the issues that, like Singapore, they said in Singapore when they were fighting corruption, they said that even if you find your brother is committing, is doing activities that are corrupt, you should report him. That's the way Singapore became what it is today. Having that will, the political
it's because of
will,
having that will. But you see, globally, Philip, this is all politics. The definition of money laundering, the definition of proceeds of crime and money laundering is all political. On one hand, at some point, I mean, conversations, I'm sure you've been dealing with this for a while. Conversations are, this is illicit money that just moves, goes and develops a certain part. By the time that part it starts becoming to plateau, the illicit money moves and goes into other parts. Illicit money has been said to move around some certain capitals of East Africa. I will not mention which one. Certain capitals of Eastern Africa are benefiting from illicit inflows of money from neighboring countries that have oil, neighboring countries that have vast mineral resources, and domestic countries that have fairly intelligent people, and those capitals end up benefiting. Globally, it's the same thing. On one hand, money is said to be flowing from one country in the east to countries in the west, and it's being held by these people who have powerful connections with the powers that be in that country. And then suddenly, with the stroke of a pen, that is illicit money. In fact, we are going to freeze it. In fact, we are going to acquire the wealth and all the property that has been held by these individuals from those countries because they have been supporting and propping an illegal regime. It's all politics.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. I think you are referring to. I think you are referring to Ukraine. I think we are far away from there to avoid talking about. Yes. That is a good example. And I think if we don't have that political will and changing the political structures, I think actually it is just dealing with corruption. Because if you maintain a regime like the one you are referring to in government, with many people who may have been beneficiaries of that regime, taking out the money you talk about, large sums of money, serious large sums of money, taking them to New York and Washington.
Developing the real estate.
Yes,
of London.
and developing now you are talking. And then suddenly you say, we are going to stop this one from owning this biggest football team. And I think that is a very serious, that is now dealing with the regimes themselves. And actually you say it is all politics, because it is. Why wasn't that recognized?
Why was it an issue last year?
Yes. No. A few months ago, before the war began. So that, I think those are very serious issues of political will again and political structures. Maybe that would be a basis again for FATF now to look at clearly. And it has been talking about it. I will not go into that maybe for another part. But FATF has been talking about that and encouraging now those sanctions issues. But I think that is for another part, because we'll see what happens.
You know, I've always found it very interesting when people talk about the arms trade, and the illegal arms trade, and people talk about gun runners. You know, these people don't produce these weapons. Someone produces them, and it's legal business to produce them. It's like having a tomato sauce factory, all right? And suddenly, certain people are licensed to actually deal in tomato sauce in that particular region, others are not. And if you are found to be dealing in tomato sauce and you don't have that then you are an illegal tomato sauce dealer. Okay? Now, the unfortunate thing is that the clients who buy this particular product or these products tend to be the same. People want to overthrow a governments that want to make sure that those who want to overthrow them stay exactly where they want. Exactly. Because the arms business is a big business.
Yes.
And where Eric is absolutely right is this. At what point are we actually saying doing what we are saying and meaning what we are saying? And at what point are we playing this big global game where if you're on the right side of God knows who, then you're okay. If you're not, then you're not okay. Because the very things that we consider to be illegal are the very things that some people do, and for some reason it is not illegal.
Yeah, I think that remains the big question, and that is a problem. And it has been some of the issues here. I think even when you look at the issue of tax incentives and tax evasion or tax avoidance. In some countries, tax avoidance is illegal. It's not illegal, but tax evasion is said to be illegal. Now, where do you draw the fine line? I think your question is one that remains to be answered.
See, what I've always found disturbing is we talk about all these things being illegal, and then yet we have certain specific geographical locations where it is okay for somebody to take money, where nobody's going to ask you too many questions. And just when you think one has become a little more opaque than it was previously, some other place is set up. And they are not set up far from the countries that are issuing out these laws. So.
Well, those are the safe havens you are talking about.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Yes. And what can you about safe havens?
So it means even some countries in East Africa, as Eric was suggesting, are also safe havens.
Yes, we have.
It is internationally recognized that, we are going to have illicit money moving around, okay? And for as long as it's not coming to hurt us, just let it come. The moment that we feel that this money is now being used by other people to come and hurt the existing structure, then we'll act. This is all what I'm saying. It's political hypocrisy.
It's talking out both sides of the mouth, because you can, on one hand, you say that it is all right to have these flows, but on the other hand, you're saying that we'll only address it if we see any kind of direct harm or danger. But so long as it's not hurting anybody, it's okay. We let it in.
And we shall have laws. We shall act like we are doing something.
Maybe the situation you are referring to will be the change maker, because it is now it is having serious impact on the ground to the ordinary mwananchi, wherever the country is. The people are being affected so much that they may raise issues, and I think that is why they have raised issues about, and governments now are running to say we are going to put sanctions on this.
Shouldn't the preference be that if you see this thing has a potential to cause harm, whether it is doing so right now or not, if it has the potential to cause harm, if it has the potential to put a dent in economies, then you refuse it from the very beginning, because you're doing this, you're courting it at some point where it's beneficial to you.
And then you shall freeze it.
And then you say later, all right, we can freeze it if we want to, but you've benefited
what
from it
the
already.
European countries should be doing, basically, is return that money to Russia. If you're doing all these things for the benefit of the Russian people,
return it from the very beginning.
Don't freeze and hold.
Freeze and release.
Confiscate, impound, and return.
Or they follow the process of putting together treaties to have that money returned. There are treaties that
those
allow.
Those treaties actually exist, by the way.
Yes.
Whether they're followed or not is a totally different kettle of fish.
Yes, we have one there's one, the FRAC treaty with Switzerland, and they take long processes. So what you are saying is right.
And they also don't return
the
money.
The money stays. So by the time, Nigeria has been successful to some degree to get some of the money returned from the regime.
No. What they tell you is that they will not give you the money directly. They will put it in projects.
They will decide.
That has happened with some of the projects and buying ambulances and
that is completely against the sovereignty.
But
of the people
they will
of
tell you
Nigeria.
that if they send you back that money, they are afraid. However badly it is,
Why
they are afraid that
for somebody else's headache.
They are afraid that when they give you that money, it is going to go again into the corrupt system, and then
they shouldn't be afraid of somebody else's
Philip, thank you very much for coming. Come again. We shall get into greater detail in this debate. Philip Mutio is a program coordinator at the Transparency International Kenya. We've been talking about civil society and why civil society should participate in the Financial Action Task Force process in the country and in the East African region. We've been told about the one coordinating this region, the Eastern and Central Africa Money Laundering Action Group, SAMLA. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Asante. Keep it right here for more conversations. In the next hour, we talk about police and police alleged harassment of bar owners in the country. We'll have a bar owner with us, and we'll also have the chair of the Bar Owners Association sitting here with us. Let's hear from them. And hopefully we'll get some response from the National Police Service as well. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenya's Certificate of Secondary Examination KCSE enters its second day today amid numerous cases of examination malpractice in at least 6 centers across the country. Despite Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha's had stunts on examination malpractice, rare cases of impersonation were witnessed. Police in Matayos, Busia County arrested a 26-year-old man, George Barasa, who attempted to sit the English paper 1 on behalf of his father, 42-year-old Josephat Barasa, at Our Lady of Mercy Girls Secondary School. The suspect is in police custody pending arraignment. A similar incident of impersonation was also witnessed in Kisii County, where a third-year Kisii University student, 20-year-old Brian Angwenye, is being investigated on claims of impersonating a KCSE candidate whose whereabouts remain unknown. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha revealed that 3 invigilators were involved in examination malpractice, with cases reported at the Airport View School in Garissa, Garbatula in Isiolo, Himani Secondary School in Bita, Homa Bay County. 2 students were also caught with mobile phones in examination centers in Nairobi.
We shall not have mercy. Like we are not going to have mercy. We are the people we have arrested. We are not going to have mercy for you. For this time round, because of our children, we shall be quasi dictatorial. We must protect our children. Hata ukienda kotini hiyo ni shauri yako. We shall protect our children because the children deserve to be given that space to do their exams.
For the candidates sitting their exams, we wish them the very best. Now, DCI detectives arrested a man believed to be the prime suspect behind the sexual assault of a female motorist along Wangari Maathai Road. Zakaria Nyaura Obadia, who masterminded the attack on a woman along Wangari Maathai Road, was arrested at the Kenya-Tanzania border in Sirare. The sleuths from the Elite Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau, augmented by a section of detectives from Nairobi DCI Regional Command, pounced on him as he tried to cross the border to Tanzania through a Panya route. Obadia has been on the run since last week, escaped the police dragnet in Mukuru Kayaba through a sewer duct. According to the DCI, the suspect has been engaging detectives in hide-and-seek games until his arrest. He is in custody, waiting to be arraigned. Now, the government has made a clarion call to all Kenyans, especially the vulnerable groups, to register with the National Hospital Insurance Fund to get envisaged universal health coverage. Government spokesperson Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna urged the residents to enlist with the insurer to get quality health coverage as part of the government's Big Four agenda that will lead the country to greater heights of development. He says the government is rolling out deliberate interventions initiatives to enable Kenyans access healthcare easily and conveniently, and that the government is planning on rolling out interventions such as telemedicine that will revolutionize healthcare services, adding that the journey to achieving universal healthcare is on course as the NHIF strives to register at least 80% of the population by the end of the year. Now, Kenya has called on member states to adopt and enforce appropriate effective laws which prohibit any non-state actor to manufacture, acquire, possess, develop, transport, transfer or use weapons of mass destruction and their means of delivery. In a United Nations Security Council meeting, the country reaffirmed the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction as well as their means of delivery constitutes a threat of international peace, security and traced in Resolution 1540, and that this can only be assured by complete disarmament. Now, the East African community makes huge post-harvest losses in food production annually in the range of 30% in cereals, 50% in roots and tubers, and up to 70% in fruits and vegetables. The EAC Deputy Secretary General in charge of the productive and social sectors, Christophe Bazivamo, said that partner states could reverse the situation through deployment of better storage and processing technologies, and enhanced packaging techniques can greatly contribute to the regional development objectives, ensure food security, and result in higher earnings for farmers and SMEs. And Matatu operators have warned that they will go on strike if the National Transport and Safety Authority does not suspend its operations they say is illegal. They say that the operation by NTSA together with the traffic police is being used to extort money from the drivers. They say they have lost over 500 million shillings since the operation started.
now running into the fourth week is a total rip-off of PSV investors' hard-earned money. During this exercise, PSV transport sector estimates that it has lost more than 500 million to NTSA and traffic police officers.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, so we're looking at traffic on Gong Road this morning getting into the city. Raila Odinga is quite heavy as you're going towards that Gong Road roundabout. Uhuru Highway also quite something as you're getting towards the city and then out towards Westlands. So it looks as though traffic hour started just a little bit later today, but it is not disappointing. Well, in terms of traffic, in terms of how long you have to sit there, that is a bit disappointing. All right, so what are we looking at here on the Thika Super Highway going then out towards in that other direction past Osops? But it's not as bad as it was earlier. Seems to be leveling out just a little bit. Also, Kiambu Road is looking just a tad better. So, also looking at the eastern part of the city, Kangunda Road, a lot better now. Mombasa Road, however, a lot of traffic moving along very, very slowly. That Imara Daima section, in and outbound traffic, very heavy. We're also looking at North Airport Road doing the rounds today. All right, let's take a look in about half an hour and see what it opens up to be. Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter. Let's text 40127 and keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It is 7 minutes
This
after
is the
8.
Situation
Good
Room.
morning. How are you doing? Thank you very much for choosing the Situation Room to be your morning companion. If you're tuned in from wherever in the country on Spice FM, 94.4 in Nairobi, 87.9 in Mombasa, Kisumu 102.5, 96.0 in Nakuru, 96.7 in Eldoret, Nyeri 90.9 or Malindi 97.7. Karibu. If you're watching us online or YouTube or Facebook, Karibu. And if you're also watching us on KTN Home, where we are live for the next 1 hour, also, karibu sana. There's a gentleman called C.T. Muga. He gives us a daily proverbs, and he has one, courtesy of our friends at the Communications Authority.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit. Others produce what?
Flowers.
Other flowers
The
produce
flowers
flowers.
are the beginning and the end of the production line.
Okay.
Others move a little further, and there's fruit.
Hey.
So,
Hey.
I mean, you can look at it.
Not all your children.
Oh, wow.
Eric, you really want us to go along that line?
But that's what do you think the Mauritanians were talking
All
about?
right. Not all your children are yours. Okay. Do you want to see something else, Eric?
Tuachie hapo. Let's just talk about protecting children, okay? As they're consuming information online. If we want to talk about that, the Communications Authority wants to remind you that, well, teach your kids about online threats and how to stay safe. You can report any incidents that you come across that you feel, this one, my child has been exposed to something. Either they are being lured into something nefarious, or somebody is trying to get them to give them more information about you, about your homestead. Any of that, call 0703 042 700. 0703 042 700. We'll talk about police. We'll talk about how police work very well with the businesses in the country. and especially those in the, what do you call them? Social establishment sector of the community.
So I call them cultural establishments.
Cultural establishments.
Yes.
We have a guest in the studio, Boniface Gashoka. He is the Secretary General of the National Bar Owners Association, Balita. Boniface, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room.
Wow, thank you.
That's the hot seat. We'll have another guest joining us, and this is, I don't know whether she's one of your members, but she runs a business in Kitengela. Her name is Mercy Atis. She got caught up in traffic. There's the expressway under construction. You can expect. So when she gets here, we'll also continue the conversation with her. But thank you for joining us, Boniface.
Wonderful.
Who are the National Bar Owners Association?
Balita is an organization that advocates for the rights of people in the liquor industry, the hotel industry. And for a long time, the name has been the National Bar Owners Association. We've been there for 21 years, from the years when we were when all these laws were brought in by Motudho. And we still have a grudge with him, and we are happy because he's going to vie for, I think, the Senate seat of Nakuru. We will ensure that he goes home because all these problems started from his own individual grudge that he had.
What problems?
With the
Being an
industry.
association is a problem.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe you should tell us what these problems are.
Right now, we run a business, or we're in an industry, or when you open your own establishment in the liquor industry, you're managed by 327 laws.
Stop. 327 laws.
Yes.
Is that if you run your business in Nairobi, or is one of the big towns, or anywhere in Kenya?
Anywhere in Kenya, if you open a liquor industry, from the smallest to the biggest.
Okay.
And you're only selling alcoholic drinks. We are not talking about you have started selling smokies on the side and all.
Yes.
Just
the liquor
alcoholic
industry only.
drinks.
Yes.
300 and how many?
327 laws.
Okay.
So actually, if a police officer stands in front of your establishment, you have a mistake, and that is automatic. So now Balita is in 42 counties. The other counties which are not there are the Muslim counties. We have 54,000 members, including Atis. And we were actually behind the scenes to ensure that we fight for her right from whatever has happened until where we are. We're actually behind the scenes to ensure that the liquor industry is seen as a taxpayer industry. And also it is seen as, but there's one thing that I've come to realize. My friends, we are parents. We are Kenyans. We are taxpayers. And we don't sell only liquor. We sell comfort. In fact, you say, "Masi unauzaga starehe." Because this is a place where you will go when you want, after you've done your business agreement, the place where you're going to relax and take nyama choma. This is the place where you're going to relax and actually ensure that your mind is free. So this is a place where you also contribute to taxation. And this is the place when even women go to hotels to copy the nice designs that are there for them to put in your own homes. So this is the place where you go even to change diet. After you eat a lot of cabbages and what have you, you go to hotels and ensure. So there are so many benefits. Actually, this is a place where you go for removing stress. And one of the effects that we saw with COVID...
So it's good for mental health.
It's good for mental health. One of the effects that we saw with COVID, majority of the people were affected with stress and what have you, and they were not able to manage. It was men. Because there's a place where they go for stress removing, but in this place they were told to stay in their homes. So let us change the picture. And of course, it's also good to say we are the second largest taxpayer
contributor. You know what you just said?
That most of the stress that men have are in their homes. That's what you've just said. And that they need to leave their homes in order to relieve stress.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That is it. That is the perception that you're supposed to look at the industry.
It's a pub. The bar is a release valve. From wherever else. It could be office, it could be home, it could be bus stop, anywhere else. He did not say home. He just said during COVID, because the valve had been closed.
You know,
so many men were affected.
I am not even disagreeing with what he is saying. I was merely reinforcing what I heard him say. Okay? I wasn't disagreeing with it.
Tell me, though, Bonnie, Balita, how different is the National Bar Owners Association from the Pubs and Restaurant Association of Kenya?
Pubs, that is PERAC.
Yes.
PERAC, they are our brothers. And initially, Balita had capitalized in all the other counties apart from Nairobi. So Perak was doing very well in Nairobi. And Perak only concentrates with the big bars.
Okay.
And even their subscription is a lot. So we worked together, and we've always worked together, even during COVID. So there is no difference. So we work together as brothers and sisters. But Balita has also come in Nairobi because there are so many young investors that we've seen in Nairobi in terms of they have wines and spirit, they have small bars and average bars whom we feel that we can represent. And also good, I also bring to your attention, and this is a confirmed information, that in Nairobi we have 12,800 liquor stores. That is liquor hotels.
How many?
12,800 in Nairobi.
Yep.
So if you look at the high end that Perak represent,
this rank from hotel
yes,
all the way to
the wines and spirit. Yes.
Okay.
So there are 12,000 liquor traders in Nairobi. So Perak represents a small percentage, and then us also we have our own representative.
Okay.
So they are our brothers. We work together. We're sponsored together with our Nini and subscription. We also get it together. And even in Nairobi, there are people who are members of Perak and they're also members of Balita.
Okay. You talked about the very many laws. 300 and what?
327 laws.
327 laws.
Yes.
And then you said you have a grudge with the Honorable Mutudo.
Yes.
I mean, I can look back into history. The Honorable Mutudo has not sponsored 327 laws in his life as a member of parliament.
That is true. But when we look at the motive, when he brought in Mutudo law, and when you look at the reasons, what drove Mutudo to bring the law, it was a personal vendetta with the liquor industry. After, if you look at the history, after his brother, I don't know, took alcohol from somewhere, dropped from college and what have you.
Right.
And that is how the liquor industry has been run in this country. If you get a leader who's had issues with personal issues, a leader in authority, that is from the political scene, the police to anywhere. If they've had personal issues with alcohol anywhere, any negative effects, so these people translate and bring that energy and misuses their offices to come and manipulate the liquor industry.
Okay.
But
So
you
Mutudo
realize-
explained very well that it is the effect on his brother that made him to write all these laws.
Okay.
The
Bonnie-
Mutudo law was specific, right? It was talking about regulating the operating hours of liquor sale, regulating the advertisements for alcoholic drinks, especially in areas that are close to learning institutions, and making sure that you have strict enforcement of non-sale of alcohol to young children. Which of those are you against?
Let me tell you, we support all those laws, but it's also good we explain the following: that was the national. Those are national laws, So they are the national guidelines of all the other sub-laws that were supposed to be created by the other authorities. In which case, as we are talking right now, liquor has been devolved to the county. So they have given rise to all the other laws. Let me tell you, before Mutudo law came, those laws were there.
Bonnie, can you give us just two examples of how things changed before the Mutudo law and then thereafter? What were some things that you were then allowed to do, or how you were allowed to operate? And then with the introduction and establishment of this law, how did that change? So we can understand exactly the change we're talking about.
I'll give you a good example. Previously, before Mutudo law came, liquor was being managed from it was a function of the national government. It was very easy for you to operate in terms of starting the business. So your inspection was supposed to be approved by a DCC, a very small committee of DCC and public health officer and what have you. Right now, if you're to open a liquor store, before you open a liquor store, you're supposed to go and visit the sub-county admin. That is now it is devolved,
Right.
Under the guidelines of Mutudo.
Right.
The people supposed to visit your establishment for inspection are 12.
Why 12?
Who are they?
Various departments?
Yeah, various departments.
Okay.
If all these officers land in your place, let me tell you, we've talked about 327 laws. They need something to eat. And they will
who are
ask
these
for
12?
something.
Who are these 12?
Which departments are represented?
We have the national police.
Okay.
2 officers.
Why do they need to inspect?
It is in the law. That is Mutudo law, the national government.
All right.
That is the national law that has brought in
So they're inspecting
all
the
these sub-laws.
premise.
Yes.
Okay.
There is the national police. There is a sub-county admin being the chairperson of the committee.
Uh-huh.
There is a secretary of the committee who's seconded by the governor.
This is the liquor licensing board in the county.
There are 4 members of the public who are appointed politically.
These
4
are
members. So
community
they represent the
representatives.
PWDs, the women, and what have you.
Right.
There is the physical planner.
Right.
There is the special agent. That is Nakada.
Right.
So they have to bring in Nakada. And so many others. There's the public health officer.
What's wrong with any of them?
Now, let me tell you.
Which of them is unnecessary?
It is very inconveniencing. In fact, let's look at the amount of resources that we are spending on 12 officers visiting your establishment.
Let me
look at the interference of business when 12 people get into your business.
But surely,
and then at the end of the day, these people are not going to give independent reports because that's what we have in the whole country. What they're going to come and say, we've seen all these mistakes. So both.
But Bonnie, do they come every day?
Yes, they come once. But now, why should we... even that once, if these guys visit, for example, let me give you a good example. In Nairobi County, if these guys visit, you have to call 50,000.
For what?
For bribe.
So that they do what?
For them to approve your bar. Okay. Whether you like it or not. Whether it's the biggest... from the biggest to the smallest wines and spirits in the village.
And is this after you've been in operation or in order for you to then start operating?
That is... if the moment you've set up, first of all, you have to seek permission before you set up your establishment area in Kenya. You have to seek permission.
You pay for that permission?
Yes, you pay application fee. That is 2,000.
So that's application.
You have to seek for permission,
right?
Because you may even position your place. Then you find that you've invested your establishment in an estate,
public land. Okay.
That is, or in a place where the physical planner they've not approved.
Okay.
So you have to seek for permission. Then you go in and put your. And the smallest bar that you can put in this country, you will not invest less than $1 million. Even her, what she has done. Less than $1 million, I don't think that is an establishment. That is not an establishment that can be approved after bribing. I'm talking about after bribing. So the moment you do that, you're inspected by all those people. In which case, it's a very big cartel. In Nairobi, the moment you're inspected and they have approved your bar, before they approve your bar, you have to pay a bribe of 50,000.
Before they
this is to this committee of
yes,
the
to this
12,
committee.
The 12
and
folks.
are you clear about the things that they're looking for in order to arrive at an approval?
Whether you're clear or you're not.
No. My question is, is it clear what it is you should have in place?
You should have. Do they tell you we're looking
is
for
there a checklist?
this, and this? And as you have gotten all of those 12 things, you still have to pay this 50,000 shillings?
Yes.
Or are they saying in the absence of, for us to be able to look the other way and allow you to continue with your operations, then pay this 50,000? What are we saying here?
On February of 27th of this month, we had a meeting in Nairobi with the bar owners of Nairobi. And it is a must for you to pay 50,000. So even if you've passed everything in the checklist.
Is it 50 per month, 50 per year,
one-off?
per quarter? What is
it was 50 one-off.
One-off.
In fact, I'm not through. You've already operated and you've paid a bribe of 50,000. Then you go ahead and pay the licenses. Of course, our licenses are many.
How many?
Yeah.
Yes, we have so many. Now, when you talk about the county government only, we have trade. We have liquor. We have fire. We have to pay for fire.
Yep.
We have the health licenses.
Yep.
The health licenses are 2. So there is the health license for the establishment and also for your employees. All those fees are supposed to be, of course, plus the other one here, takataka and what have you.
Yeah.
All those fees are supposed to be paid after inspection. We are not through. You've already been inspected. You've paid your licenses. The day you go to collect your licenses, you have to pay for a pen, which is 5,000.
The pen is 5,000.
Yes.
Now this pen does what exactly?
It is not receipted.
What does this pen
And
do?
if you don't do that, you will not get your license.
What's the pen for, Bonnie?
Yes.
What's
Is this
the
a bribe that is asked by those clerical officers in the office?
Munua Kalam.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you don't do that, they will not give you the license. Now, our licenses are due on they're due on 31st of March. So if you're not issued with your license before the end of this month, which is 31st of March, the police are on you. So you have to pay for the pen.
So that you get your license.
Yes.
Because you've already paid for the license. All those things that you were supposed to acquire. Health for establishment, health for workers, fire, business permit, all those things, you have them.
You have them.
But you have not paid for the pen.
You've not. So on that material day when you're going to receive your license, you have to pay for the pen, which is 5,000.
That is Nairobi. Mercy Atis joins us now in the studio. And Mercy, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
Mercy, you run your business, but not in Nairobi County.
Not in Nairobi County. I run my business in Kajiado County.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What kind of business is it?
It's a bar and a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And where exactly is it?
It's located in Kitengela, directly opposite the new Quick Mart.
Okay.
Yes.
How long have you been in business?
For 1 year and 3 months. 1 year and 2 months. This is supposed to be the 3rd month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mercy, your story, one of the reasons why we have you here is because your story has now gone into the public. And Boniface says that the association has also been pushing this as a story so that you can use as a case study. Just tell us, you've heard, Boniface is giving us countrywide, this is what happens. Was this the case for you when you decided you wanted to start a pub and restaurant? Or did you go through all these things that Boniface is telling us that people go through?
Okay, the first time I just opened a restaurant selling fish, and then I introduced alcohol, and I had to go through what he's saying, but for my case, the police were not aware of the alcohol part until when a customer refused to pay for some drinks, and I went to report. So there is a customer who came to my place and drank like 6,700 and refused to pay. And when I went to report to the police, I reported myself. Yeah.
You took yourself. So you said, the drinks, then they ask you, you're supposed to be selling fish. So he's samaki.
Imetengenezwa na samaki ama
samaki alikuwa amelewa. So now you had to regularize that part of the business, to apply for the licenses now for the alcoholic side of business.
Right. So I did apply for the licenses, and then but for the liquor license, I was told that many bars in Kitengela are operating with a court order. That no bars, okay, I don't know if I was misled, but I was told that no bar, not even Pavilion, not even Alison, not even the biggest bars, they have a license. They're operating under a court order. So I got all the other licenses except for the liquor license, although I applied for the liquor license as well. And then I never followed up because I was told that no.
You don't need, you just need a court order.
Right.
Who told you this? Who gave you this information?
One of the bar owners in Kitengela.
Yes,
what is that all about, Boniface?
Yes. We've had issues with a few counties. Like, for example, I'll give an example of, I'm very much aware. I actually know her, but I know maybe she's seen me on TV because we have so many people we need to serve. Perhaps. We've had issues with several counties, but other counties were favorable. For example, Nakuru. Like, for example, I'll give an example of Kirinyaga. For you to open a liquor store, the liquor license that you're supposed to pay is 50,000. And that is liquor. So when you count all the others, for you to have the smallest liquor store in Kirinyaga County, you need 150,000. So those were issues that can raise constitutional issues that we've subjected them to the court process. The same case to Kajiado. We had issues with, and of course, the principle of double taxation is illegal. One authority collecting multiple licenses. So that is the same basis that we've done in Kitengela.
So there was an existing court order?
Yes.
What was the order saying?
The orders. Okay, what we challenged in Kitengela was the principle of double taxation, which is something that I don't know what's wrong with our country. These are things we can sit down and sort out in the whole country. Because if each county goes to court that pays multiplicity of licenses to the county government, they can seek redress and they can get orders. And we can deny this government and county governments a lot of revenues. So we've had cases in Kisumu, we've had a case
Tell
in
us this particular one of Kajiado.
Now, for Kitengela, it is the same thing. They petitioned on double taxation, and we got an order against that. So that is a matter that is before court. We are not supposed to discuss.
Okay. So what she had been told was truthful.
Yes, it's true.
That there's an existing court order. But the court order does not say you do not apply for licenses. Was it?
Yeah, she has applied for licenses, but since there is that order,
there's no enforcement of.
Yes.
So you can actually go through the process and actually make your establishment functional without that particular license.
Yes, without that particular license.
Okay. Let's come back with the greater details of what Mercy went through. Mercy is a business lady. She owns a pub and restaurant in Kitengela. And Boniface Gashoka is the Secretary General of the National Bar Owners Association, Balita. We are talking about the plight of the bar owners and restaurant owners in this country and what they go through: taxation, licensing, enforcement, and then what they are calling, of course, extortion by the various enforcement agencies. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, live on KTN Home, SpiceFM, and online. We'll be back shortly.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
KTN Home welcomes you with shows that will inspire you. They are very compelling, very emotive, and even better about individuals who have a story to share. Through their stories, you get to hear of as many life experiences, learn and grow. Catch What's Your Story every Saturday at 6 p.m. Her Standards every Saturday at 4 p.m. and Everyday Woman every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. KTN Home, the home of inspiration. Get inspired today.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not borrowing, it's stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say, I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us, assert our will.
When the legislature are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality.
We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi Lokop is Jeshi Lawokov?
I can't say it very well.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 17. Sun will come out later. Highs of 28. Highs of 29 will be realized in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 18 and we'll see lows of 14. Nyeri is sunny at 16, highs of 29 and lows of 12. While Eldoret is sunny at 14. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 12. Mostly cloudy conditions in Mombasa, highs of 33 and lows of 26. And we'll see lows of 26 in Malindi as well, where it is sunny at 28, going to highs of 31. We'll see highs of 31 in Kisumu. It's currently sunny at 21, and in Kakamega, highs of 32, where it's sunny at 22 at the moment, going to lows of 15. Kampala's cloudy at 20, highs of 29, and the sun is out in Dar es Salaam at 29, highs of 33 and lows of 27. Light rain in Johannesburg, that continues at 15, highs of 21 and lows of 14, while Lagos is also rainy this morning at 27. We'll see highs of 32. 32 will also be the high recorded in Kinshasa. It's partly sunny at 23, and that'll be the low for today.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Maritime in and outbound on Mombasa Road. That's where we're seeing traffic this morning. We're also seeing it going towards North Airport Road, quite heavy inbound as it tries to connect with all that traffic trying to connect with Outer Ring and then further on towards the Eastern Bypass. And that already looks pretty messy as you're going in that direction. All right, what else are we looking at? Lunga Lunga and then connecting with Likoni, the interchange going towards the Southern Bypass. That still continues. Langata Road, my goodness. A lot of traffic here this morning. Really tight as you're going towards the Timor roundabout. Raila Odinga Way is taking off some of that. Then going towards Ngong Road. CBDs where all roads lead this morning, and it's pretty slow. So the Thika Superhighway decided that, we're not letting up on this traffic, at least not for now. And let's see what it looks like in about half an hour or so. And there it is. Chiroma is doing that thing it was doing yesterday. It seems that 8:30 is the magic hour for that. Quite tight there. So if you can avoid Chiroma, do that. How can you do that? Use the Red Hill Link Road coming out of Westerns. You might want to think about going in the other direction. Okay? All right. We're still seeing traffic in and outbound on the Muru Road. And deep in the belly of Muthaiga, quite a lot of traffic today, then going out towards Gigiri. Eyes on that, guys, and let's talk in about half hour. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our guests this morning, Boniface Gashoka, he's the Secretary General of the National Bar Owners Association, and Mercy Atis, who is a businesswoman. She runs a pub and restaurant in Kitengela, Kajiado County. Mercy, you've gone out publicly to talk about the harassment and extortion that you've gone through in the hands of enforcement agencies. Just give us your experience. So you're telling us how you have applied for a license, and then what kind of harassment have you undergone?
Okay, so the day that I reported that a customer refused to pay is the day that the police became aware that I have alcohol. So that is the day I was told at the police station that I have a choice to be paying 5,000 shillings per month to the OCS. And if I don't pay that money, I will be arrested and closed within only 3 arrests. Mm-hmm. I was told specifically that tutakushika tu mara tatu na utafunga if I cannot cooperate. So I went and I withdrew my cash, 5,000 on that day, and I gave Madam OCS. And I got in her office and we talked really well. I told her about my story and how my bar was opened through fundraising by Kenyans, and she told me that she really wanted to see me grow and thrive. She said, naona sahi bado unatambaa, nataka uamke utembee ukimbie. I want to see your business thrive.
Yeah, tutakusupport.
Yeah, and I will be here for you. If any customer is not paying, don't fight with them, just tell me. She talked to me really nice. She said, wewe ni msichana wangu, like you're my daughter.
Yes.
Yakileta shida tutamshughulikia.
Yeah. So I felt really confident to go back to my business and run it. And from that day, the police started coming for their 200 shillings. The same day that I paid the 5,000, the patrol cars came at night and they said they want 200. And I tried to give them 100. I said, I don't have customers today. And they insisted that they want 200. And they always threatened that if you don't give 200, tutakushika. Tutakufunga. So I obliged and I gave the 200. And then from the following day, there were the police who are on foot, the ones who are walking, and they want 50-50. So I was giving them 50 shillings and I was giving the patrol cars 200.
250. So 300.
Okay,
there's
so
250
if the ones are walking, the ones who are walking, if there are 2 of them, I give them 50-50. So that's 100 each, yeah. Yes. And then the patrol cars, I have to give them 200 daily. Like this is daily.
So it's 300 shillings every single day.
Yeah, 300, sometimes 350, sometimes 250. So if only one is walking, I give them 50. If 2 are walking, I give them 100. If 3 are walking, I give them 150.
And why are you giving the walking ones less?
Because they're not using petrol.
They're not buying petrol.
Surely, CT.
No.
They don't have to buy fuel.
They
This one is for internal fuel.
No cop
not
buys
for-
fuel.
Thank you, Eric.
But you can understand the vehicle is not moving in this case.
No. They both offer the same threat. They are all, the ones with the vehicle offer more threat
They're
than the ones who are
scarier
walking.
than the ones who are walking. Yes.
Because they're going to carry X-Bit and that is your stock.
Yes. They can carry things in the vehicle.
Okay. And still at the end of the month, Mercy, you still have to give the 5,000 shillings.
Yes, and whenever I give Madam 5,000, we always talk really nicely, you know.
But do you, when you go to give Madam the 5,000, do you tell her about the daily extortion?
I did tell her. Yes, I did tell her.
She was not aware.
She's of course.
I'm just asking because you said you.
What did
told
she tell
her.
you
What
when
did
you
she
tell her?
say?
She told me, hata ukikaa na sisi, I called her one day when I got arrested, like last year, and she told her, unafikiria Masi ukikaa na sisi vizuri hawezi kushikwa, and she hung up the phone.
Right.
So.
So then she's very much aware.
Right.
It's a coordinated
So this has
operation.
been going on for what? A
This
year?
has been going on for a year. And then at the beginning of 2022, I introduced keg to my bar and restaurant because it was very slow. There were no customers. So when I introduced this, suddenly I had so many customers because we know keg is cheap. So that's when everything doubled. I remember that on January 4th, I took my normal 5,000 to Madam OCS. She told me, Mercy, I'm away. She knows me very well. Mercy, I'm away. I took my kid to school, just put on my M-Pesa. Yeah. So I put the money on her M-Pesa. Of course, I've given evidence to
the right authorities.
Yes, to the right authorities. But what surprised me is that just 2 weeks later, I was arrested. And I negotiated.
By patrol or foot?
By the ones on the vehicle, the patrol.
The vehicle patrol.
They always go and they come with other officers who pretend not to know what's going on. Yeah. So then I went to the police station. I negotiated. I paid 5,000 for the lady on the counter. I paid for my customers 1,000 each. We got out. Beginning of February, I was arrested.
Hold on. They arrested you together with your customers?
Yeah, they arrested me. They always arrest the customers as well as the girl on the counter.
So let me
So
ask.
how many of them were you arrested with that day?
On the first arrest, mid-January,
Yes.
about 5 customers and the counter lady. So about 6.
So you paid 5,000 shillings
For the counter.
for the counter lady.
And 1,000 each.
So you paid 10,000 shillings in order to be released.
Yes.
Okay.
And I got everybody out. And then beginning of February, 13 customers were arrested with the lady at the counter. Beginning of February, and I went to try to negotiate at the police station. I was told that I have to go to court, to Kajiado Law Courts. So I went to Kajiado Law Courts. Just before we could get inside court, there's an officer named Zawadi who said that I need to rescue my customers. Customers watole tao watoke. And that day I didn't have enough money. So I gave them all the money I had. I remember that I even had to be carried by police vehicle. Juu nilibaki sina hata fare ya kutoka Kajiado.
They dropped you at home?
Fika Kitengela. They dropped me at Motherland Restaurant. They dropped me at my business place. So I gave them 13,000 cash. I gave to Officer Zawadi 13,000 cash for the 13 customers. And the lady at the counter was charged 8,000 fine in court. So then I thought things were okay. So, mid-February.
Why were you arrested? Why were they arrested?
Extending hours, going beyond 11.
What?
Selling alcohol past 11 p.m.
Past 11
But
p.m.
were you selling alcohol?
And it's not a nightclub.
Or are they? No, wait. What is the law? Selling or people in your premise? What is the law? Because I may have bought a whole crate of beer at 10.
Close at 11.
Yes, but I can't finish that crate before then. What is the law?
You should have calculated.
Let me come in on that extension of hours. What exactly happens? This is what happens, which is a practice that is in the whole country, and it's something that we've communicated with the Inspector General of Police. We represent members who follow the law to the letter. But this is the challenge that has always been there. And actually is a complaint that is it is in Kakamega, it is in Rongai, it is also in Gilgil. That a police officer comes to your establishment at 10:45. You're supposed to close at 11. Comes to the place and tells you, serikali iko wapi? Iko hapa. So, later. Let me tell you, at 11:05,
as you
a whole Land Cruiser is outside there waiting for you.
Right.
That's what these guys have been doing.
So the law specifically says that you shall close if you're not licensed to be a nightclub. You shall close at 11.
Yes.
Not stop selling alcohol at 11.
So
Close.
So you stop selling earlier.
Yes.
Yes.
So the idea is for you to time yourself such that 11 doors shut, business closed until tomorrow.
Yes.
But now you're saying that they have devised a trick where they come and start engaging you for 15 minutes. Kukuzubaisha.
Actually, even the alcohol that this officer will be taking, he's not going to pay for it.
You're paying for it.
Because the moment he orders like 10 bottles, then naona sema, I am in business.
So he's sitting down at 10:45, having a drink, waiting.
Actually,
for you
he
to
even
close.
gets into the bar at 11, maybe 30 or 11:45.
In uniform?
No.
plain
Because the law is very clear. You're not supposed to sell alcohol to an officer in
uniformed
uniform.
officer.
Yes. So he comes in there. Actually, even what was so funny was the case that we had in Kakamega, I think, with Ero. Mona, where these guys, they now don't sit inside. They send someone because now we've marked them. Yeah. And when it is 11, we tell them, hey, please, guys, you have to leave. So they send customers. Then they tell you, wacha nimalizie hizi tu tatu peke yake. So immediately you're like, let me close as I'm working on my stock and what have you. And actually the door is closed. Then when the door is closed, this guy is inside. Then he tells you, when the police are knocking the door, he tells you, I want to exit. Only for you to realize, it was business.
Mercy, have you reported this to any authority? So there's Independent Policing Oversight Authority, where you can go and report this, or even the Kenya National Commission for Human Rights. Have you reported to any?
Yes, I've made a report with IPOA. And I was telling you that the last time that I closed the bar, I was fined 50,000 for the same license that no bar in Kajiado has.
Okay. Fined by who?
By the courts.
So you were taken to court?
Yes.
Okay.
This was now end of February.
And what was the charge?
Operating
Without
with no
license.
liquor license.
Okay. As we speak, is your bar open?
No, it's been closed.
It's been closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been closed.
And so when was your last interaction then with any law, officer of law, police, court, whatever? When was your last interaction?
My last interaction was on the 4th of March. Yeah, that was when I was fined the 50,000. And
For what exactly?
Operating without a license.
Operating without the same liquor license that nobody has.
That same license that nobody has.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
There's an injunction in place.
Yeah. So, but did you pay this money, or it's just kind of like you're holding on to the
pay.
order? So you paid the 50,000 shillings?
Yes, I had to raise the money and pay and get my counter lady out because she was arrested and taken to Langata Women's Prison.
What have IPOA told you since you took the report to them?
They told me they were going to assign me an investigating officer. They gave me the case number.
Okay.
Yeah, and they told me that if I received any threat that I should report to them immediately.
And when was this?
It's been like
2 or 3 weeks ago.
A week since I reported to
Yes,
IPOA.
a week.
Yeah.
So this is in the hands of IPOA. Now, it's important for us to mention here that very many of the incidences that Mercy is talking about are personal experience, are experiences that she's gone through. We have not independently verified this, but the matter, as you say, is with IPOA, and IPOA have the mandate to investigate. If there is an allegation against a senior police officer in Kitengela, the IPOA has the mandate to investigate with all the other officers to establish the actual truth here and the veracity of this so that the action can be taken.
And evidence of that is a case number you said you've been given.
Yes, I've been given a case number. I'm told that the OCS has been transferred from Kitengela since my allegations. Yeah. Because there are so many other people who also have enforced messages, and who have gotten a voice to speak up
after her incident.
Yeah.
Because of this now, they want to be enjoined in your case so that it can be investigated all together.
Yes, I believe that many bar owners are going to join my case.
Apart from police officers, have the other county officers visited your premise with the same extortionist? For example, yes, even without the liquor license, you are selling food, so you still require to have the public health permit. You needed to have public health inspection for all your staff. You needed to have business permit. Were they visiting your premise?
I had all those. I had all the other licenses.
And there was no extortion or harassment from county officers?
I want to say that the county officers arrested me last year maybe once for the health license, but then I paid for it, and then after that there was no more extortion. And I want to add that the chairman of the liquor board for Kajiado County reached out to me and said that he wants to help me to waive some of the county licenses for 1 year so that I can recover all my losses, because he was touched by my story. So he sent me an application, and I have not given it back to him yet, but I'm very grateful for that.
Let me ask the question. What you've gone through, is it something you'd consider unique, or are there other people in your line of work who have gone through the same, almost identical things that you have that you've gone through?
It is not unique at all. It's not unique. Everybody is going, okay, I could tell even from Boniface Mwangi's post. If you combine his Twitter plus Facebook, more than 5,000 comments. Many people have closed their businesses because of the same exact exploitation and extortion. So it's not anything that is unique, and I think that's why right now, as we face elections, we need a leader that can address these issues, serious issues of small business owners who are being forced to close because of police extortion. I really believe that maybe we can put it to an end. I know it sounds like ridiculous.
Oh, no, it isn't actually.
Yeah.
It actually isn't. What you're saying actually isn't ridiculous. It gets to the heart of the matter, because all these politicians, when I say all, I mean all, nondescript and all, always talk about the interest of the common person, and you represent that common person. The mwananchi who's actually just trying to make a living. They're just trying to do their own thing. Now, how then do we say that right now those who are in leadership are looking after the interest of the mwananchi, and this is the mwananchi who is earning them revenue within their counties, and yet the benefit they're getting for all the hard work is harassment? I mean, how does that work?
Let me come in on something. As an association, first of all, I would like to bring you something, because these are some of the post-COVID effect. 45% of the whole market in the liquor industry is illicit.
45%?
That is 45%. So we still have a very huge market space
Illicit
for any
means
investment.
not licensed, not operating.
Not even
within the law.
counterfeit. It is illicit. Basically, changa and those and the others. But what is surprising is the legal registered establishments are the ones which are manipulated at the expense of illicit. The other day we had an operation from the Ministry of Interior. They were calling it RRI. And it was Rapid Response something.
Initiative.
We supported, as an association, we supported that operation because we thought with COVID, illicit went up and counterfeits went up. But let me tell you, what happened on the ground changed to be manipulation. We even actually took videos of somewhere where changa was being cooked, but all the bars, all the multi-agency operation was directed to the legal businesses. And that is what we are talking about, that we need protection of our businesses because we are fighting legally registered licensed businesses at the expense of illicit. And one of the things that I want to empower Kenyans on, if you see somewhere where changa is being sold in the whole of this republic, send that complaint to 988, which is Mulika Uhalifu.
So let me ask you something, Mercy. With all these, I mean, we've talked about 327 licenses that are needed. There's this whole committee of experts who need to be given, lunch to be able to sort things out. What I'm hearing is that there's no refusal to pay or to abide by these requirements. You will pay the license, you will do what you need to do, but then leave me alone to be able to run my business. Is that what we're hearing? Or even those licenses, man, we think there are too many, we don't think we ought to pay. What are we looking at here?
Exactly. Leave me alone to feed my children. Leave me alone to do my small business. As long as I'm paying the taxes, I'm paying the licenses. I'm just a normal Kenyan citizen trying to pay school fees for my children. And I'm speaking for many other thousands and thousands of Kenyans all over the country. So just leave the small businesses. In many other countries, I've traveled outside Kenya, as you all know, government supports small businesses. They offer grants that you don't even have to pay back. They offer small loans. And small businesses are the strength of the economy in any country. So I want to urge those who are running for political office and the police, you have salaries already. you know.
Hey, that's true.
And maybe I add something. On the harassment of Nairobi, we've spoken about the licenses. Every Tuesday, and I want to bring this.
Like today?
Yes. I want to bring this to the attention of the Inspector General of Police. By the way, he's been our friend. And actually, he's the one who's helped us with her case. And so many other cases. Every Tuesday in Nairobi, you have to part with 300 shillings. Whether it's a big or a small bar.
Tuesday.
That is a bribe. Every Tuesday. And every Thursday, you have to part with 700 shillings.
Let me just ask the question. Bribes are given for a purpose. Okay. So what am I buying with the 300 shillings?
Protection.
There's no even protection. Let me tell you. I'm talking of Balita represent highly compliant establishments. But let me tell you, in Nairobi, this Nairobi you're talking about, we actually brought this to the attention of the governor.
So if the IG of police is your friend, why is it ongoing?
This is what happens. 70% or 80% of the police, they're good. And we've really worked with them to manage all these things. But we have a Karog component that starts from Mashinani to Nairobi.
Boniface, you know what you're suggesting? That there are people who already they are born and they are wired to be malcontents, and then they join the police force. So now they have authority to just do the things that they like doing.
Yes.
Meaning there's not a single straight bone in their body.
Yes.
And the structure of the police accommodates them.
Yes. Actually, not even the structure. I'll give you an example of Kitengela, what used to happen. I mean, it was so funny. You're arrested by an officer, you disagree, and you refuse to pay bribes. You get into you go to a higher authority. That is a hierarchy in the police to report. In this case, you go to the OCS and reports that this person is doing. That person tells you that, please, hiyo kitu umeniletea, mimi sitaweza kushughulikia. Enda msikizane na huyo askari. What is that person telling you? Go bribe. Or you go to hell or you're arrested.
Let my younger officer eat.
Yes.
You know, Mercy, the thing you are saying with regards to asking political leaders, stop wasting your time. These politicians, that's not where salvation is going to come from. What your organization, the people who are in your business need to do is to grow so that you are stronger than you actually are. So you can actually fight your case. Where have you heard of politicians fighting for people's issues? Genuinely. Tell me, you work in Kajiado. Who? Pinpoint an MCA and tell me this fellow has been there when people have been arrested and has helped pay the fines. Tell me one. So
none.
Stop wasting your time. Focus. The people who do the people who are in your line of work, focus on strengthening your organization so that you seek to find ways of helping yourself. So that when somebody touches one member, they know they're touching all the members. That way, they're a little more careful about how. So long as they know it's you they're targeting, you're easy prey.
So it's about time that Balita even became more visible and louder. 21 years in existence. This is a time. Maybe this is your maturity year. You know, get to a point where you say, all right, so enough is enough, and we're going to be advocating directly and on such matters, on our members, on what our members are going through on a daily basis. Have those publicity forums, have the meetings with the local leadership. Make sure that you publicize this. This is what we want. If it's about changing law, be specific. We want this, another law changed.
That is a good challenge, and I hope my members are listening, because I've been in many TV stations and radio stations. This is the program that is most listened by our members in the country. Balita, this year, we are not running away from politics. That is a responsibility. And we've told our people to vie, and we've told our members to support 3 people in this election. 1 is a member, number 2 is our customer, or a leader who supports our policy. And that is something on the ground. We are not running away from our primary responsibility of fighting. Let me finish or add a few things. We've come up with measures to ensure that we manage these things. And the first thing is we are doing a partnership, a national partnership between IPOA and NPS. That is the National Police Service. So we will be allowing them into our meetings, especially IPOA, to come and train us and teach us what they do. Number 2, we're also encouraging all the members, everybody in the alcoholic sector, to join the association, because that is where your relief is going to be. We've partnered with our manufacturers with coming up with a program called Raising the Bar, EABL, Consumer Insight, Qual, and the others. we have realized there is information gap. Our people need to be taught about their rights. So we've come up with products that our partnership that we're going to do to work on that. We're also proposing and we're going to push for a cashless operation, so that if there is no cash that will be traded in that place. So if a bribe is supposed to be given, it will be given with evidence.
On record.
Okay. On record.
That's a good
We've
one.
come up with something
Let's conclude
called
on that point.
Bakumi Initiative.
We'll have you next time to continue talking about what the work that Balita is doing. Thank you very much, Boniface Gashoka and Marcy Atis, for joining us this morning. And also thank you to our audience on KTN Home. We've been live since the top of the hour. It's now 9 o'clock.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. KCSE has entered its second day with security being tightened, especially in areas where insecurity cases have been reported in the recent past. Security officials have issued a guarantee of adequate security and safe environment for candidates in Kerio Valley and its environs. Kapenguria Deputy Commissioner Elvis Korir, who witnessed the opening of the exam papers earlier today, said everything is come and going to plan.
So we expect to deliver a smooth and a good environment for the exercise. We are here together with the security team, the Sub-County Director of Education, and all the stakeholders. So we don't expect much challenges. We have prepared adequately.
West Pokot County Education Director Frederick Hiru said a total of 9,993 are taking the exams at 158 centers. Kapenguria Constituency Director of Education Charles Manyara said cases of early pregnancies have decreased in the area compared to last year. The Matatu operators have warned that they will go on strike if the National Transport and Safety Authority does not suspend its operations they say is illegal. They say that the operation by NTSA together with the traffic police is being used to extort money from drivers. They say that they have lost over $500 million shillings since the operation started.
Now running into the fourth week is a total rip-off of PSV investors' hard-earned money. During this exercise, PSV transport sector estimates that it has lost more than 500 million to NTSA and traffic police officers.
Deputy Chairperson Stephen Murunga expressed disappointment with the police who continue taking bribes, especially at a time when the sector still suffers from the aftershocks of COVID-19.
The audit has turned out to be an exercise where NTSA and police officers coerce, intimidate and forcefully demand bribes of between 5,000 and 20,000 for flimsy defects and imagined and roadworthiness status of PSVs. This is a money minting operation. And note that this money doesn't go to the exchequer at all. So we are surprised on how this can be done. All this is being done against the backdrop of effects of COVID-19 pandemic on passenger transport industry, where the sectors like airlines have been receiving billions of shillings from government as economic stimulus, whilst the PSV industry, which equally lost colossal sums of money, has received nothing.
Now, the government has made a clarion call to all Kenyans, especially the vulnerable groups, to register with the National Hospital Insurance Fund to get the envisaged universal health coverage. Government spokesperson, Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna, urged the residents to enlist with insurer to get quality health coverage as part of the government's Big Four agenda that will lead the country to greater heights of development. He says the government is rolling out deliberate interventions initiatives to enable Kenyans access health care easily and conveniently, and that the government is planning to roll out interventions such as telemedicine that will revolutionize the healthcare services, adding that the journey to achieving UHC is on course as NHIF strives to register at least 80% of the population by end of the year. Now, Kenya has called on member states to adopt and enforce appropriate effective laws which prohibit any non-state actor to manufacture, acquire, possess, develop, transport, transfer or use weapons of mass destruction and their means of delivery. In a United Nations Security Council meeting, the country reaffirmed the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction as well as their means of delivery constitutes a threat of international peace, security as traced in Resolution 1540, and that these can only be assured by complete disarmament. Now, Kenya may not be represented in the Little Miss World pageant as its only representative, Gloria Victoria Juma, lacks funding to travel to Dubai to take part in the pageant on the 24th of this month, which is Thursday next week. 14-year-old Gloria, who sat for a KCPE exam at Kitale's school last week, told Radio Maisha that she aims to fly the Kenyan flag and bring the coveted title back home.
I won the title for Little Miss Kenya. I'll be going to Dubai on 22nd of March this year. Project yangu ni kusaidia street children, and I really love them because children, you're the leaders for tomorrow. I love my country. I expect to emerge the winner, and I'll be representing my country, Kenya. To the well-wishers and to the government of Kenya, really need the support from my country, accommodation and transport. When I win, I look back and support those who will be in need.
We hope that she gets the support that she needs. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Quite some on Uhuru Highway going out into the city and then out towards Westlands. That continues. Gong Road also still pretty heavy, and we're looking at traffic on the Thika Superhighway still continuing to be a thing. Looking a little bit better on Kiambu Road today, and what we had seen on Limuru Road earlier has seemed to have fizzled out, so this is a good thing. Juja Road here and there just a little bit, getting onto Outer Ring and then connecting on the Thika Superhighway. We'll see traffic probably ebb and flow until about 9:30. I'll keep an eye on that for you, letting you know what it looks like in a short while. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's talk there. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7 minutes after 9, Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues. Hey, it's the final hour of the show this morning. And City Muga, yes, the proverb,
yes,
Communications Authority.
Not all flowers of the tree produce fruit.
Not all flowers of the tree produce fruit. Another one from Mauritania.
Yes, it is. Tomorrow we move.
There.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where do you go? To Senegal?
Then the country that's next to Mauritania is actually not Senegal. Mali.
We go to Mali?
No, we won't. We'll go to the other extreme. I'm traversing. I'm going to leave the countries in the middle that comprise what you call West Africa, just West Africa. I'll come to them after tomorrow. We will be with them on Thursday.
Okay. So you'll come to the Horn?
Coming to the Horn, and then after the Horn, then we'll come to now what is referred to as West Africa.
Okay. Okay. Communications Authority, remember, we need to protect our children and make sure our children are aware of how to stay safe as they browse through the internet. That is what the Communication Authority is reminding you on a daily basis. And if you come across anything that you feel that needs to be reported, you can do so by calling 0703 042 700. Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako, Communications Authority. Very many comments on the conversation that we've just had with Mercy and Boniface on social media.
Folks want to contribute to this because it's true. There are quite a number of people who go through this on a daily basis and are saying, look, we want to contribute to this because we feel the bite as well. Cynthia says, can Mercy in the interim stop the sale of liquor proceed with her hotel business as she fights the liquor extortion bit. On IPOA and court orders, the first two of this country set precedent of disregard and disobedience. The trickle down, of course, is worse. Wamugunda Gadhua says, where I live in Mombasa, we have police cars collecting bribes every evening from 50 to 100 shillings to 200 shillings per day. And Namtosi is hoping that mercy gets justice. Andrew says, lots of talk from the government, many programs, policies, yet no real progress. He's also said something about the ease of doing business. It's not easy.
It's
So
the ease
really
that's not
difficult
easy.
situation.
My goodness. I mean, clearly, these are things that people go through, and it's always the small business owner.
You know, there's a gentleman who I knew as a newspaper vendor. He conducted his business over time, grew it, and he had a kibanda, literally near the entrance of where I live. And it was a thriving kibanda. Now, somewhere along the line, the establishment that is opposite where I live is a hotel business. And somebody felt that his kibanda was an ISO. Okay? Long and the short of it, he went through all sorts of legal processes. In the end, he left. Okay? There's something he told me, which I found not only touching, but very sad. He told me, wajua hapa Kenya bwana mnyonge hana chake. And I asked him, why do you say that? He said, you know me, I'm a nobody. I said, but you're not a nobody. He said, yeah, I have gone through I've gone to the county. They gave me a license. I have everything. They came and inspected this place before I put this thing up. And yet these people can actually come and remove my kibanda because it was portable. Remove my kibanda and put it somewhere else. I go and report it. Nothing happens. So in the end, he said, let me just sell everything that is in here. Okay. I'll break up the kibanda, sell it to somebody else, because the harassment that I'm going through with this same business, it's too much. Now, for me, he represented the very thing he was saying. He's saying, I've gone through the process. I even met the county officials. I even met the national government officials whom he had gone to court. I met them because that kibanda had been there for a long time. So it's somebody I knew. And they all assured me he was going to be safe. And I said, you know, if they say so, they're the authority.
Yeah, you have to believe
I even met the chief.
The area chief.
Yes, they said, no, this guy's got his papers. Still, this established, they moved his kibanda. In the end, he said...
What is moving the kibanda? So they move it from the location to a different location.
To a different location, which is not where he wanted, and which, clearly, there were roadworks going on. So he was on like a small island. There are trenches all around him, and he's on this island. So even to get to the kibanda, you have to jump over a trench.
Good Lord.
What excuse are they giving? I mean, what reason are they saying? Why are we moving your kibanda? Is it because you are premised in the wrong location? What is it?
They couldn't give him a lot. Because I met some of the people there and asked, why are you moving this kibanda? What authority do you have? They said, and they asked me. Yeah, I said, actually, I have the same interest as you. I live here. And if you think it's an ISO, this kibanda has been there before you guys came here. So, you know, I'm just asking, what authority? And they wouldn't talk to me further. So I left the matter. So I talked to the authority.
Okay.
And they said, no, this guy has his papers. Everything is in order. It is okay.
Did you speak to your neighborhood residents association to find out were there complaints from some neighbors who felt that this was an ISO? And the said neighbors had some influence. I
actually spoke to the two neighbors with whom I knew and I spoke to and who had lived there the longest. They had no complaint. But they asked the same question. They said, you know, maybe some of the people who have recently come here have complaints and we don't know. Because this can't happen if somebody hasn't complained. But as I said, he resolved the issue and said, I'm going to sell everything that I have within here.
Forget about this business.
Forget this business. I'll do something else. This one is the hassle of just doing this business is too much.
And you know, this is a story that is replicated everywhere. This is not those we call informal businesses. Because this is somebody who has formalized their business.
It is a formal business.
It's a formal business. They have applied for all licenses. They are paying for all licenses and levies periodically. They are formally recognized as a business. It's not informal.
There's nothing informal about it.
Same thing about Mercy.
It's not an informal business.
It's not an informal business. It's actually formal business. So with all those things that, you know, somebody is struggling, they're saying, I want to comply, I want to play by the books. It's just that I did not understand that I needed to do this and the other. But now that I've been made aware, I'm willing to comply. It's going to cost me to comply, but I'm willing to forgo the cost. And then you just get hammered right on the head.
Doesn't it speak to the resilience of people, though? That's it. That you're ready to do the work. You're ready to put in the sweat. You're ready to do what the government, as the authoritative body, requires you to do to be able to run business. You're ready to do all that. You're ready to bear the costs. You're ready to do everything. But then what you're dealt thereafter is crazy.
You see,
people are ready to do the hard work. Generally, people will have a sense of conformity. They will conform to the laws, the requirements, guidelines that you have set. They will do what needs to be done. But then you have to ask yourself, what is wrong with a society that then makes it so difficult for the average citizen to survive when its mandate is the exact opposite? Now, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about somebody who's sitting in an office creating policy, or whether you're talking about 2 patrolmen on the beat. That all represents government. Why does it make it so difficult?
I like what you said earlier. What has made our society be like that? Because it's not government. Government has clear. I mean, if we look at government in terms of officially, what are you required to do? Just like Boniface was telling us, you want to open a pub? These are the steps. You go apply to the local fiscal planner, next point, you shall get inspection. This is just to make sure that the community around you accepts that, yes, we are okay with a pub being opened in our neighborhood. All that sounds okay, just check the boxes. But the people who are coming, who are the neighbors, those 4 local residents,
they're part of this supposed committee.
Yes, and they want to be given a bribe. Because that is just an ordinary you and I. That person has another business somewhere.
Yes, they do.
It is somebody who is either employed in an office or is somebody who runs a business somewhere, but they've just had Ndu wants to open a pub here. Chota. It's a you and I. The cop who's coming there is just the ordinary guy, brother, cousin, uncle, sister, auntie, who is a cop.
Yeah.
Who's coming there and saying,
lunch on the regular.
Yes. Lete kakitu. It's us. And then we shall all look back and say, serikali. Yes, the structure of government may be facilitating it, but it starts from, if those people are just genuine. Okay, so what is it? You want to open a pub here? That's fine. We are not near a school. We are not near, our children don't pass here. There's not near a playground for the children. So we are not exposing our children to the ills of the, okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and open a pub. Make sure that you're closing, operate within the law. Open pub at 4, close at 11. Fine. If you don't, we shall complain. We shall apply for your license to be revoked. And we understood.
Or we shall fine you.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Are we together? We're together. Go ahead, do your business.
You know, this Kenyan, let's pull ourselves from our own bootstraps attitude is a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, we are able to maneuver, we are able to find ways and means of ensuring that we survive, irrespective of what is we confront. But the flip side of this is there are things we need to confront which we will not confront. We'll find a way around it. And in finding a way around it, what we've done is we've created a mindset where we actually avoid certain things. So ours is avoidance. We figure, I don't need the hassle. It's lived experience that has taught you the problem of confronting it may cause you more problems than you need. So you focus on, what do I want to achieve? What's the easiest way of achieving it? And I'm saying the easiest way of achieving it is sometimes the hardest way of achieving it.
Indeed.
Because you then create a certain, should I say, character. You induce it in the people you're dealing with. So they figure, this person won't complain. They will find a way of making sure we don't bother them. So what you're actually doing, you are the very thing that is actually causing you problems. You may not think so.
You have enabled it.
Yes.
By accepting to give that bribe that once.
Yes. Because speaking purely from a business perspective, if I'm offering you a bribe, I'm buying something.
Yeah.
So what am I buying?
I called it protection, CT. Because you know very well. You see, look at it from that point, from that person's perspective,
Yes.
as an individual. If I do not do this, they're going to come and shut me down. They're going to come and frustrate my business. They are going to run me out of town. Pure and simple. Do I have an option? If I just weigh and I see the options are not as easy as this one, what's the cost of this? Cost of just making sure that I operate from here is 5,000, 10,000 shillings a month? Okay.
What I'm saying
It eats into my bottom line, yes, but it keeps me in business.
I'm actually saying they actually they run you out of business. It doesn't appear so. Because I listened to Mercy's story. These people don't stop at what you agreed on.
No.
They are always adding something and always adding something and always adding something. And the threats are consistent.
And it's not guaranteed that they will just come once.
Yes,
in a
and
day.
the number of people who come is not guaranteed that it's one.
No.
It's one group, then a second group, then there'll be a third group who come at lunchtime. It never ends.
So how does that ensure that you do your business properly even? You're sitting in your business establishment, you're doing your thing, but then you have this shadow of fear over you all the time. So here you are, you're raising 2 young children who got to go to school. You have to have food on the table. You need to pay your rent. You need to pay the people who work for you. But then at the same time, you're budgeting. Well, I've got to pay law enforcement so that I can remain open. What kind of existence is that?
You actually
So you're running at a loss. Think about it. You're running at a loss.
Of course you're running at a loss.
You're working for these people.
You're working for them.
Yes, of course you are. But at that point, I'm telling you, just put yourself in the shoe of Mercy at that point.
Well, I understand.
Well, look, I hear you completely.
It's like,
if I don't do this,
if I don't do this,
it puts you in
I'm
the
out.
situation in
I'm
which
going
she
to
is
do
in
this, I'm
today,
out.
where her bar is
You
shut.
get to a point where, until Mercy gets to a point where she's like, come on, this is enough. But also, Mercy has something extra about her. She's able to raise her voice. Has something extra about her. She has the courage to say,
enough.
Let me shut down this business. Let's see.
Let's see what's going to happen.
Worse.
Because it's true. And unfortunately, majority of the people who are in the same situation, majority live in this debilitating fear. And they're like, oh my God, no way. Am I going to go and be a whistleblower of sorts and tell people what is really going on? Or am I going to continue paying that 300 shillings per day, 5,000 shillings per month? They arrest me, I pay the 15,000 shillings, and I scrape by the skin of my teeth. There are people who will say, you know what? I've got to do it because the little that I'm getting is feeding me. Right?
Yep.
But I dare say that, look, it may sound so idealist and it may sound very euphoric in nature, but you know what? The disruptors, more and more joining together like those molecules in a bubbling pot, the disruptors are the ones who are going to change the status quo.
We all sit back waiting for disruptor. Let's hear from Steve, who's calling from Mombasa.
Please,
Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, good morning, Eric, Betty, and Du. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Wow, it's a so touching story about Mercy Tengela, and it's just a reflection and just a one case. And thanks for coming up with that because not even in alcoholic sector, but also in other small businesses, you want to start a business, you want to do business. It's really hard because even those who are already in business are thinking to shut down. This is it's a day-to-day experience whereby people, even in plain clothes, they come to your business, they just extort you, and people just see their officers. They want money, and you have to get money.
Yeah.
Eric, you're saying you're telling your colleague like that is protection. You give that price you give for protection. But in really sense, it's not protection. If you give them, like Matthew says, he gives the OCS 5,000 so that he can have protection. Why do these other people come for 300 shillings? Why do they come? Because if it was protection, you pay 5 every month, then you're not supposed to have these other expenses of 300. That is 9,000 per month. Yeah. And you're giving the OCS 5,000. That is 14,000 for Matthew. What is she working for? How much is she getting to pay the rent, to pay the expenses, to get the profit? And now and then she's in court. These are, all these things, they make someone even think not to run a business.
They're just.
Let me give you my example, Erica. I haven't touched. I run a business online. That is a kitchen and kitchenware and appliances. I want to start. I want to open up a shop. I have a stock of 600,000. I have to get a place, deposit and rent. That is close to, plus the license is 150,000. But I have another worry. Like I set up that thing, and I've done everything, every law requirement. These people are gonna go. They're gonna come. I just expect to have a knock. And
you'll be told about a law that you are not aware of. You're selling what are you selling again? Pots and kitchenware and appliances.
This to do with the fridges, microwaves, all those kettles.
They'll tell you need a CO2 compliance, emissions, blah blah blah.
Yes, even the profit that you expect to get is not that much to make you run the expenses and also pay these people. So it's so hard. I'm thinking because I did another stock on December. I was ready to start the shop, but I'm not yet even. I'm still thinking about it.
That's true.
You get.
Yep. It's a difficult place to be.
Yes. What can we do? What can IG do? Because the police, it's the wrath, I tell you. What can they do about these people going around to shops, following people with plain clothes? They don't explain themselves well, but they just want something from you.
It's for everybody to do. Thank you, Steve, for sharing your experience. Let's hear from others as well. Yegon is in Nandi. Or are you? Where are you, Yegon?
Yes, good morning, Eric. I'm in Nandi.
Good. How are you doing?
Yes, Niko Salama.
Now
I have an experience as a member of Palita. So
you run all. Oh yes, your restaurant in Moyale.
No, this one is in another county. I don't want to mention because I'm not reporting. But
they may just come.
Sour.
Okay.
And now the problem with this sector is that there is high mentality of that there is a lot of huge profits. All the way from the person who gives you a house or a building to run.
Yep.
Because you can find in the same building someone is running an hotel and you are running a bar and restaurant. But the rent fee differs. Reason, the owner will tell you that this industry has got a lot of profits. So all the process of starting this, as highlighted by the SG, the government has got no problem. But these people who are the one to approve, to inspect and do everything.
Yeah.
At one time, I followed the processes when I was opening my cultural
establishment.
And after following all the procedures, every step you have to bribe. And to some extent, because now when I was opening, we had not informed the police. So I was issued the permit, everything, the sub-county administrator inspected and he approved. But now after when I've settled in, I remembered what these people fight in this bar. Where am I going to report? So I had to go and get an OCS from a station. When I meet the OCS, it was simple and clear. Man, can you pay the protection fee?
Wow. How much?
How much do you need? Blah, blah, blah. Why? No, I have got this someone now. He said, and those years, I have those OCBD and I have those guys who are working on patrol.
Wow.
And let me assure you, wherever you are arrested, even at the Kamanekare, you have to be prosecuted here in this station. So you, first of all, you are safe. Now I had to oblige because things happen. If you don't pay these guys the protection fee, those legalism you are talking about is illegal. Even if you have the license, it will remain as illegal.
The police can come and just declare something illegal.
Yes, because right now we have a lot of brands in the market. You cannot distinguish which one is fake and which one is not. So you can be arrested anytime.
You're selling counterfeit.
Yes, counterfeit. You will not be able to pay the KRA. So instead of these guys being prosecuted at court, you pay about 50,000. It's better you give out the protection fee.
Wow.
And even you are the one, the OCS should not call you. Sometimes even you can buy a chicken boy. No, long time somewhere. That's a rival tactic.
Yegon, thank you for sharing. Have a good day, Nandi. Ali in Garissa.
My brother Eric Latiff, Madam Duna, City Muga, how are you?
Fine, thanks, Ali.
Allow me to speak in Kiswahili. I don't know if I will convince Madam Du, lakini
she understands Kiswahili very well.
Yes, sawa. Kwanza mimi nasema hivi, kwanza hapa wacha nikupatie hapa Garissa vile tunaendanga. Kwanza mimi nasema hivi, if you want to start a business, kitu ya muhimu, the first step ni kwamba, first of all, the first impression you give to these law enforcement officers ni kwamba, are you compliant? Are you, yani, unajua kuna procedure inatakikana. If you are single permit business, you have that certificate. Kwa sababu mtu akona capital tuseme 150, anaanza duka with no any the required documentation. Sasa polisi wakipata ya kwamba you don't have the relevant documentation, now you become an easy target.
Bas.
Wanakukujia wanakuambia leta ama hauna. Mimi nakumbuka nikiwa form 2 baba alikuwa na gari ya Probox. Sijaenda driving school. Nilijulia tu hapa alafu tena sasa nikajua vile kuendesha gari. Hiyo gari sasa kuna siku nimeshikwa na traffic. Nimeambiwa wapi license yako? Nimesema sina. Wakaniambia leta 5K. Nikapigia mzee nikaambia mimi nimeshikwa, gari imeshikwa na wanasema leta 5K. Mzee akasema sasa mimi nitakusaidia aje? Una license, mbona umeshikwa gari? Mzee akakuja akalipa. Mimi sasa siku hata feel ile pain, baba alipa pesa. Baadaye tena nikaona tu naendesha gari, nimeshikwa tena. Wale tu because nimekuwa ameniambia hebu huyu kijana hana license, kuna siku tumeshika, hebu angalia kama alipata.
Wamekumark.
Baka wamejua number plate ya gari. Imagine hiyo siku nyingine wamenishika nikaniambia leta hiyo 5K. Kama hauna tuende kwa and then you don't have any option. Ukipelekwa kotini you are liable.
Yep.
License ni 11,000. I think ni 11,000, something like that. Yani if you want to apply ni 11,000. Mpya ni 11K. Sasa nimegundua nimetumia over 20,000 for bribery because of lacking that crucial document. So what am I saying? I'm saying hao polisi pia wao wanajua ya kwamba hawezi wakamkandamiza mtu ambaye akona all the relevant documentations. Hata wao wanajua kama wewe uko na relevant documentation, you are compliant citizen, unalipa tax vizuri, uko na certificate kila kitu, you comply with the bylaws of the county or everything, wao wanajua ya kwamba hawezi wakakusumbua. Na kama hata watakusumbua, siku hizi kuna phone, smartphones. Please, if you have all the documentations and someone is coming to you to terrorize and to destabilize your business, make use of the technology, record him, get the required evidence, take him to court, let him be jailed, and it is allowed. Lakini sasa wewe ukijifanya tu huna certificate, unafanya business, be assured hakuna profit utapata na utafanyia kazi hawa watu. Na hawana huruma, Eric, hawana huruma hata kidogo. These people hawajui, they don't care whether you have it or not.
Shauri yako
wanakuambia mamana hali yako. Mimi ile character development nimepata bro. Sitarudia. Thank you so much.
Ali. Thank you. Rono in Eldoret.
Morning to you, good people.
Good morning, Rono.
You are touching something so fundamental. I hope we can interrogate it appropriately. it is not even about the bars alone or the matatus or the borders. Even industrial activity.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for example, generation of power. And look at the amount of paperwork and the fees that you require to operationalize a hydro generating facility on that small river in the village. It is virtually impossible.
Is it the legal fees that are exorbitant, or is it the roadblocks that have been placed as extortion?
The roadblocks, forget about the extortion aspect. Even meeting the legal requirement, it's so prohibitive. And it is something common through the spectrum, life itself. Whether you are opening a duka, whether you are setting up a hospital, whether you are setting up a butchery, a school, any form of economic activity. The challenge is at the way we have structured society constitutionally. We have opened ourselves up to so many regulations, some duplicious. Why do you need a county license and a national government license to do business in Kenya?
So basically what you're saying, Rono, is we have overregulated ourselves.
Worse than that, we have opened up ourselves to interference by other vested interests.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding conspiratorial, have you ever wondered why we have oil in Turkana and it's a British company that is licensed and it is complaining of its inability to process the same oil?
What's your conspiracy?
Someone does not want you to operate. It's as simple as that. So give this guy a framework that sorts out, make sure that he does not work.
Okay.
And if he works, it's so damn expensive, he'll just...
he'll give up soon.
He'll give up soon.
Thank you, Rono. Thank you very much.
The political arena is even worse. Now you want to qualify somebody to be a leader. Even the wild dogs don't know who can lead them. They don't need anybody else's qualification. Good day to you.
Thank you, Rono. Have a good one. It's 23 minutes to 10. We have the police spokesperson, Bruno Shioso, with us in the studio now. We'll expand the conversation to also include some response from the police. As we do that, let's first of all take a look at the weather and traffic, and also remind you about Cypladon.
Indeed. Thinking about the pain that you feel sometimes through headache, tension headache, colds, flus, and all those fun things. 2 times in terms of how fast it can work, relief for you in an effervescent paracetamol. Dunk it in some water, and you should be all right. CT has testified, and once CT has testified, your eminence, it's over. It's done.
It's that big one which you can't swallow.
That one.
Yes. So you put it in water.
It fizzles out.
Fizzles out, dissolves.
Throw it back.
I'd figured that was the one for putting in water.
You got it.
I looked at that thing and said, how do you swallow this?
That's why they do the thing for you.
22 to 10. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
There for fast relief from period pain? Take Cypladon. The fizz works to relieve pain faster.
Available at all good pharmacies and now at Chandarana supermarkets. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
I like listening to you guys. You're the default radio station in my car in the morning. Even the children listen to you guys.
I agree Parliament has failed this country. And I will say it again. We have not done what we should have done.
We know in this country, the Kenya prison sector is one of the most underfunded sector.
The way it is being done and the way we're calling it Huduma Namba Msema Kweli
is because all records will be there. You know, there are people who are now billionaires with no history as to how they got all these assets.
Yes. Anything that the president does that is not in accord with the Constitution is an illegal act. You know, he shouldn't be doing it, and he should be sitting here and trying to sort of guise it up.
I totally believe live transmission of results and allowing Kenyans to be able to view all these results. I believe
23 and partly sunny in Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 17. It's sunny at 21 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 14. 12 will be the low in Nyeri, where it's sunny at 28, going to highs of 29. And in Eldoret, we'll see highs of 28 and lows of 13. The clouds are up in Mombasa at 29, highs of 33 and lows of 26. Malindi is sunny at 29, highs of 31. We'll see highs of 31 in Kisumu as well, where it's sunny at 25. And sunny in Kakamega at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 16. It's now raining in Kampala at 24. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 20. And the rains have stopped for now in Dar es Salaam. Currently at 30. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 27. Rains continue in Johannesburg at 15, highs of 21 and lows of 14, while in Lagos it's partly sunny at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 26. Kinshasa is sunny at 23, we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 22. It's a sunny day out in Beijing going into early evening, highs of 19 and lows of 5, and it's raining in Paris still at 9, highs of 14 today. 14 will also be the high in London, where it's currently sunny at 7, and New York coming into early Tuesday, it's 9 degrees, highs of 16 and lows of 8. Stepping out of traffic hour, not too far from now. Southern Bypass looking pretty good. There's options for folks to get off the craziness that's on part of Mombasa Road today, so think about that. Lunga Lunga then going towards Likoni also looks a bit sticky. Langata Road still a thing. Lusaka Road today, not quite sure what's going on there, but coming off of Jogo Road, it's taking off some of the traffic that otherwise would be going towards Landis. There is quite some on Landis going towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Ngong Road still continues, and Chiromo, absolute mess. Ring Road Westlands doing the same. It looks a lot better on Kiambu Road now. Thika Superhighway just before surveys, where you will see some of the traffic. We should be out in no time. Let's talk through the day. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice up your life.
It's 18 minutes to 10. Thank you very much for keeping it locked. For the next 18 minutes, let's have a conversation now with police spokesperson Bruno Shioso, who's with us in the studio. Afande, good morning.
Morning to you guys.
Good to have you back in the studio with us.
Nice to be here with you guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
quickly into this, we were having a conversation with two guests in the studio, the Secretary General of the National Bar Owners Association and a bar owner from Kitengela, Mercy Atis, who was recounting her ordeal in the hands of police officers, operating a pub and restaurant, and every day having to face an extortion cartel, allegedly being run by the officer commanding the local police station, plus the officers below her. And says, I just had to part with money on a daily basis, and every month I have to deal with the local boss. And then very many people have called and said, well, we go through the same. The Bar Owners Association Secretary General says this has also come from other members of our association. They go through the same, from Nairobi to all the other counties. Have you heard of such cases?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think just last weekend, I was thereabouts. I saw a message circulating, either online or social media, allegedly by this lady called Mercy, artist from Kitengela, complaining against what you've just mentioned. And it attracted me, so I took an interest in that information, and I made some few calls, just as the standard procedure, just to know exactly, what was happening and if it's true or not. Well, I spoke even to the OCS. I know her personally. She gave me her version of the story, and of course there was a conflict between the allegation on her side and what she was trying to tell me. Or she told me, not trying, but what she told me. Basically, she told me that, of course, she knows the lady. She knows she's a bar owner, but he'd been hard on her in terms of enforcing the Liquor Licensing Act. As you know, we've been having challenges in that sector. I mean, the
Compliance.
The compliance that liquor sector, but not even just compliance itself per se. It began with, this fake beverages, and then the health factor to the people, some areas. So generally, there have been a crackdown, which is maybe has been punitive to them. But of course, there are people who are getting business, trying to make a honest living.
Yeah.
So these are two issues, trying to conflict. Business one side, or the economics one side, and the other side of law enforcement. Now, to me, where the main problem is coming in is when we start having the complicity on the part of the business people. Because now, if there's enforcement, just comply, it becomes a bit easy. But then now, when they want to go, to contravene the law, now it gives room now to what you're talking about. You see what I'm saying? It gives now room to what you're talking about. Because these are guys who are supposed to enforce. These are guys who are saying, well, we think we can talk this out and see how it can work. Then now it brings us to that level of malpractice, or maybe what you're talking about. So, but going just to that incident is something we are aware about, and we're actually working on it as police. We know our colleagues, again, IPOA, they are seized of the matter. We don't want to preempt the investigations, but they're handling the issue. But for us, we did, an administrative arrangement, where first of all, we just had to move the OCS from there, first of all, to a different place as we wait for the outcome of the investigation. So I don't want really to dwell into the specific issue about what happened. But generally, because we've said that other people have been calling over the same, what I can say is, first of all, I'll talk to the police officers, that if true that's what's happening, and we are trying to look into that holistically, then that's very wrong, because as they're enforcing, first of all, they have to be responsive to the needs of the people. They have to be responsible. They have to be professional. And by and large, they have to facilitate business. You heard last time when the president was, in Dubai, during that trade show.
Yep.
If you heard his speech, it was basically about that, how government officers can facilitate business. Because now business is at the core. Or even as police that's where we draw our business, our salaries from.
Yep.
So it's one thing to enforce the law, but you must do it to the human face. Knowing that, these are people who are struggling, and you can see where you can invoke your discretion, where you can be a bit hard.
Yeah.
But the issue of bribery, of trying to have some kind of organized cartels of collecting money from, that's so punitive, and that kills the business. It kills business, it kills the economy.
So it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's
condemning
wrong for police officers.
Yeah, I'm saying if it's happening, it's wrong, and we shall in the near future we shall get to the bottom of it, because we are trying to look into that kind of a complaint.
But
generally.
Bruno, is this the first time you've heard of things like this happening, or that police are said to be extorting people? Is this the first time you've heard of this?
No, the general issue of extortion, of police is as old as police itself.
Right.
Yeah, and all. I'm just trying to be specific about now the one of this.
Okay.
But yeah, but generally, there's a malpractice all over, not just in Kenya.
Sure.
It's even part of police studies. Wherever you go to, US, those years, if you remember that liquor time, Prohibition. It was the worst, a kind of a scam.
Sure.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, those are issues that police, or we call them the rotten apple police, will, try to take advantage of the powers of the officers and abuse them in terms of enriching themselves or trying to get, an advantage, undue advantage. That's wrong. Yeah. And those are areas, and that's why even we have, and we work very closely with the anti-corruption.
Yes.
And by the way, one of the objectives of police is to fight corruption. If you go into the Constitution, it's one of our main objectives. Yeah. So these are things that should not be happening in the first place. But when they happen and we get to know and we have evidence, we crack the whip. And that brings me, when I saw that that tweet circulating of Mercy, the first thing I went to Twitter, I wrote my tweet, you check it up. Yeah. And I tried to explain all you said, and I condemned the incident and tried to reach out to her. Even by that time, even she hadn't reported to IPOA. I tried to reach out to her if she could come forward with that information, and we can try to get some evidence to see how you can move forward. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. It's a question that we raise among ourselves, but now that you're here, I want to ask it. Do you think if the terms and conditions
of employment within the police service was improved. Now, I'm going to be specific about improvement. For example, let's say entry point salary for a police individual, 100,000 shillings. House allowance of, say, another 50,000 shillings. Car loan, similar to the ones that some of our MPs get. Meaning, if you're a police person, you know you're going to get a salary, basic, upon entry, house allowance, 50,000. You have the ability to actually get even what we call a car grant or a car, something that you can actually buy a car with.
Yeah.
In short, I'm asking, terms of services that somebody looks at and they say, you know, I'm not really that different from
I
DMC
don't need to.
or from the other people. Do you think this might help reduce some of these issues that keep coming up? Because if you look at them as in totality, they are issues to do with basic welfare on a daily basis. Because you hear of bribes. It's not 1 million shillings, it's 50 bob, 100 bob.
How much does it end up being?
Exactly. But what exactly fuels it? Now, I'm saying, if you brought this about, is it possible that we might reduce this to the point of even eliminating it?
Well, I'm not an economist, maybe to dwell into that, but I can maybe, as a layperson,
As a layperson,
yeah. I'll say, first of all, you see improvement or maybe how much you earn. That's relative, you know. It's relative. And I don't know, because what you'll simply do, what will happen, is just, you'll give me maybe a constable 100,000 shillings, and you'll just simply upgrade his life. And you now need bigger things.
The lifestyle is
will change.
more expensive.
So to me, it's all about the habits of a person. Yeah, I'm just from the other radio. We've been talking about and do this. You can still be and do the person. You are content, you are professional, and you do your work very well. Yeah. So to me, it's not about the money. If you just have that rotten, corrupt mind, and they give 1 million shillings as a starting salary, you want 2 million. You want 10 million.
Case in point, members of parliament,
yeah,
governors,
and you see
how much do we pay them?
So to me, it's not about that. It's about the mission of being a police officer. And the mission is very clear. Focus on service delivery
to
the public.
Bruno, so if there are people who are currently, whether it's alleged or otherwise, who are victims of this extortion from police, I mean, it's very clear that if that is where it's coming from where you sit, do you encourage them to come forward and say, this is what is happening? Because there are very many people who are quiet because they want to be able to run their business and get the little that they can on a daily basis. They're not interested in ruffling anybody's feathers. Look at Mercy today. Feathers have been ruffled. She's afraid to open her bar because she doesn't know what will happen to her tomorrow again at the hands of police. So what is being encouraged here? Be bold and say, or, stay in your corner.
Another problem, because to me, the first things first. First of all, I'm a bar owner. It might be difficult, but try to be compliant, first of all. You see, be clean on your side, first of all. Once you clean, and then an officer still is trying to mess up your business, just come forward. We have desks for that, public assurance desks. Come make a complaint, and we shall act. Because
come forward. Where am I coming?
Oh, I mean, it's only police as an institution that
the extortion is happening from the local police station.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then I'm saying it's only the police that is well represented in everywhere and at all levels. If it's a police station, there's a sub-county level where they are the bosses. We have county levels. We have the regional levels. Come to my office at headquarters. We are all structured. Beyond that, you're not even happy with us. Go to IPOA. Go to internal affairs. I mean, there's no place you can like to go. Go to even GPP direct. Go to there are all those oversights and other mechanisms where you can go. Go even to a local MP. You can make noise and know where to take that. So what I'm saying, complaining is not the issue. The problem here is people being complicit. Because, they are part of the problem because they're not compliant. So they have to suffer in silence, what you're saying. So it will take maybe only one who's very bold or maybe who's headed over there. But by and large, most of them, like matatus, that's the same thing. You see, most of them are not compliant. And that's why you see that corruption on the roads is a bit harder, They're happy dealing with the officer than going through the criminal justice system.
Got it.
And those are the realities and the truth of the matter.
You're calling it the truth, but you know what you're doing, Bruno? You're running close to that line where you're almost blaming the victim.
Not really. You see, corruption, and it's very clear.
And starting from that point if you're compliant, why are you paying a bribe?
You see, we're talking about bribery or corruption.
Yes.
And that's even the law, recognizes that it takes two to tango. There must be a giver and a taker.
Yep.
There's no way you're going to tackle the problem of bribery without facing this elephant in the room.
But Commissioner, there's a small thing. There's an imbalance of power here between me and the police officer. The power is on the side of the police officer. And what we are trading with here is something called inconvenience at whatever level.
Yeah. True.
So they hold all the cards, I don't.
And it's not bribery, really. It's extortion. Extortion now brings in that element of imbalance of power. Bribery is willing giver, willing taker. Extortion is forced. So whether you've come in here, because the complaints that you hear is, I have all the licenses in place, but they'll come in and they'll tell me, they'll pick on something. They'll look at something on the shelves and say, this is counterfeit. And because it's counterfeit, we're going to take all these stock as exhibit so we can take it to KEBS so that it can be tested and established whether it's counterfeit. In the meantime, what they've done, shut down your business. We have seen this, even that particular allegation, this specific one of officers coming and taking all the stock.
Yeah, you see, to me, from where I see it, I mean, all right, I want us to look for solutions.
Yes.
Offer a solution.
Yes.
And this solution should be holistic, sustainable in the long term. And that's why I'm trying to go out of the box, because on our side, we know we have
a problem.
We have a problem, rotten officers.
Yes.
Yeah? We call them the bent cops. We know we have them, and we have to deal with them. But there's no way we are going to deal with them without that, first of all, that cooperation over the other side, the guys who are on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And the only way they can come forward is when they are compliant. Because if they're not compliant, they'll now still go under. And that still be a problem. And then it becomes a cycle that we shall keep. I'll come here tomorrow again talk about the same issue. But not the only thing is, first of all, there must be somebody who's compliant here. And then that's now how extortion comes in properly. Then now we can squarely face this officer now.
Yep.
And sort him out. So what I'm saying, basically, I'm calling out more people like Mercy to come forward.
Because look at her case.
Yes.
Look at her case. Very openly and honestly.
Yeah.
She was selling fish.
Yeah.
Or food, generally.
Yeah.
And then started selling booze at the same time.
Yeah.
And then took herself, basically, to say, look, this person has not paid. And then they said, okay, hold on a minute. You're selling food. You're not supposed to be selling alcohol. She paid the penalty for that already. They said, this is the fine, etc. She paid and then was compliant. But as a result of that, she's being taken advantage of. And this is the first thing.
If I may say this, there's something that Bwana Commissioner is saying here. The number of times she had a problem was because she was operating after hours.
Yeah.
And she even said, but other people are also operating after hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if other people are operating after hours.
Also, she hadn't gotten the license yet. Because people had advised her.
Yes, exactly.
Because of the court order.
So you see, whereas you're right, there was this small matter of compliance which she hadn't adhered to. So, in essence, she already was wrong-footed.
So what the police spokesman is saying is this exactly the same thing that Ali from Garissa was saying.
Yes.
Be 100% compliant. If you're on the right,
you shouldn't have
then
a problem.
you've got the might of the law.
Yes,
the law on your side.
To come forward and say, I mean, these guys are just out here extorting me. I'm okay. And it will be clear on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Okay, there it's true.
There you've got it. Final message to Kenyans as we conclude this conversation today. Your final message on this particular one. Where can they reach out to? Who do they talk to? How do they file their complaints?
Yeah. Anytime you have a problem with police officers, patrol officers, the first point of call is the OCS. That's the boss.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's not he or she's not part of the problem, you go there and make a complaint and wait for the reaction. If you feel there's no reaction, it's only police I've mentioned already. We have all those structures. You can always even come to headquarters, you can go to the county, you can go wherever you want to go. You can even go outside police.
Okay.
But the issue is scream and let your scream be heard. Have an OB number. And let's follow it from there.
Okay.
And we shall try to be as objective, as open as we can. Because even as we want to fight this problem from within, but we must have help from outside. Yeah.
Bruno Shioso, police spokesman, thank you very much for joining us today. Come again for a longer time. I know we understand that you are on vibes.
I miss you guys. I should come here for like 2 hours.
Indeed.
2 hours, yes, with tea. The temple, yeah? Asante sana.
You have heard us talking about Ciplodon.
Yeah, just now.
It's an effervescent painkiller.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many headaches that you go through on a daily basis,
I'm
Bruno.
killing all.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
There's this thing, it's a paracetamol.
Yeah.
It's 2 times faster than your normal paracetamol.
Okay.
It's a big pill that CT cannot swallow.
Yeah.
So he dunks it in water and it works much faster than your normal paracetamol. Headache, flu pain, fever, gone.
Asante.
City, the day's proverb with Communications Authority.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit.
Not all flowers of a tree produce fruit. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. We have had a lovely conversation. Join us again tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. It's now 10 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Arseto. The United Democratic Alliance National Delegates Conference at the Kasarani Indoor Arena is expected to endorse Deputy President William Ruto as its presidential candidate for the August 9th general elections. More than 5,000 delegates are expected to attend the party meeting, with Arakaniti Senator Kithure Kindiki saying they have invited several guests. The Deputy President's endorsement will mark his decamping from the Jubilee Party to the newly formed UDA